to everyone joining us from different parts of the afternoon, good evening to everyone joining us from different parts of the world. On behalf of the organizing team, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this AI Africa conference. My name is Elias Grar, CEO of Yanomine, and I'm truly honored to open this important gathering of professional expert practitioners and leaders who share a common vision, advancing enterprise architecture across Africa and beyond. Today, organizations across the world are navigating unprecedented change, digital transformation, emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, and rapidly evolving business models are reshaping how institutions operate and deliver value. In this context, enterprise architecture plays a critical role in aligning strategy, business capabilities, technology, and innovation. Across Africa, we are witnessing an exciting moment. Governance, enterprise, and startup are investing in digital ecosystem, modernizing programs and regional collaboration initiatives. However, achieving sustainable transformation requires more than technology. It requires structured governance, interoperability, and strategic alignment, which are exactly the areas where enterprise architecture brings tremendous value. The purpose of this conference is therefore simple but powerful: to connect enterprise and architecture community across Africa, to share knowledge and experience, and to highlight practical approach that can accelerate digital transformation across the continent. Today we have the privilege of hearing from distinguished speakers and experts from different countries who will share insight on topics such as advancing EA maturity, integrating business and technology architecture, enabling interoperability across systems, and democratizing enterprise architecture through modern platforms and tools. These perspectives are essential as we collectively build stronger, more resilient, and more innovative organizations. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our speakers, partners, and participants who made this conference possible. Your expertise, your time, and your willingness to share knowledge are what make events like this truly impactful. I would like to thank our partner and the entire organizing team who worked behind the scenes to bring this conference to life. For all participants joining us today, I encourage you to actively engage, take notes, ask questions, and connect with fellow professionals. The real value of a conference like with lies not only in the presentations, but also in the community we build together. Africa has immense potential in the digital era, and enterprise architecture can play a decisive role in unlocking that potential. Let us use this conference as a platform to learn, collaborate, and inspire the next generation of architects and transformation leaders across the continent. Thank you for joining us. And with that, I'm delighted to officially open the EA Africa Conference 2026. And I wish you all an insightful and inspiring conference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elias. This wonderful introduction, and to start the conference now, our first speaker. My name is Oluwasegun Olutoyosi Dushola. You can call me Toyo, as you can see on your screen. I'm a Nigerian. I've been with Helios for over a year now, and it has been awesome. Yeah, so I will be introducing Chigozerum Ogbogu. He is going to be our first speaker, and he's going to talk to us and enlightening us about advancing enterprise architecture, maturity in Africa, how we can integrate it into business applications and interpretable and governance for sustaining digital transformation. Please, let's welcome Mr. Chigozerum. Thank you.
Thank you, Toyo. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I am using two screens, one for my presentation, and then to be able to speak to the audience. I don't know, Toyo, can you see my screen? Hello, Toyo, can you see my screen? Okay, I want to believe that you can see my screen. Basically, just like as he has spoken, um, advancing enterprise architecture maturity in Africa. Where what space have most of we enterprise architects been playing? I'll start up with uh, something that did occur years back. I can remember a few years back, I had that privilege to review a technology landscape of some organization undergoing what we today call digital transformation. And one key thing I realized was, yeah, they were implementing a lot of solutions. They implemented mobile apps, digital onboarding, analytics platform, and some other integration too. However, um, looking closely, the architecture itself was actually telling, a different story. They had maybe subscriber data across uh, multiple systems. There were no sort of single source of truth. Integrations mostly, most of the integrations for uploading subscriber information were more like batch files, processes of reconciliation in terms of recharges and other things were reconciliations that were done manually. However, at the end of the day, it was believed that, oh, with the systems they were deploying, they were digitally transforming their business. But the truth of it is that um, looking at it as at that time and our knowledge around architectures, we saw that the lack of alignment were one of the key challenges to why they believed they were actually doing transformation with when really they were just, deploying systems that were siloed. So that was one of our first, how will I put it? It was sort of like our first view of how these things and today it's actually uniquely captured. It is not only about this one institution, but it's something that we see across so many places in Africa. And you will say, um, it, any organization without sort of trying to attain that digital that architectural maturity will only lead to building either fragmented systems, inefficient processes. And at the end of the day, you have multiple systems practically doing almost the same thing, but not really going beyond that. And which is what I broke down into why this EA maturity, why it matters a lot. And I've just spoken about, without the alignment to certain architectural principles, you begin to have duplicated capabilities across the different units. Each unit or each business unit is sort of building their what is called their own system, you know, You look at the level of application, whether it be custom applications or OEM-based applications that are being brought in. You keep looking at your portfolio growing massively, and a lot of these things begin at the end of the day in an attempt to say, let's do some form of integration. You have your data siloed in places, trying point-to-point connections and all that. At some critical junction, you begin to see that due to the lack of like EA maturity within such organizations, because I'll tell you this, some organizations have, in quotes, EA teams, we have an architecture team. Is it around meeting compliance, or is it really that EA team is actually doing and helping them drive their business? Because basically, a lot of the things that borders around EA, as we know, is helping from the business strategy point to seeing business capabilities and possibilities for solutions that lie within the organization. So for when we look at inconsistent governance, because you just have an EA team, maybe at the end of the day, what we're looking at is, there are no ARBs, architecture review boards within those places. People are first thinking of solution before they actually think of the business capability, meaning that the technology is the one driving the business capability, as against the business capability driving what sort of application data that should, be put together. This slide clearly talks about what that speaks to, which is the impact of low EA maturity within the organization. You have complexity, cost of ownership relating, technical depth, because you have so many solutions that have been pushed out. The resilience level regarding these platforms, because they easily break, and you see that the resilience is low, and it sort of deprives you of certain innovations, because innovations should be from a point of where we're looking at mapping your business capabilities to the actual solutions that could really grow your organization, and which allows you for agility. Just a minute. Okay, so we tried placing this around what we call like the 4-pillar framework based on our topic. If you look at it, business capabilities are independent of, so organizations have their structures that they've set up. However, a business that comes with a particular vision helps in terms of having a business having the right vision, helps in terms of the business strategies that will come out from the kind of conversations you would have with people who sit with these your stakeholders within those organizations. And it is based on that you're able to draw out, say, these are our objectives. These are what we want to do. What are the value streams to these particular objectives? Every business team in an organization, one key goal is, how are we going beyond where we are today? How do we drive this business? Either we say, is it profitability, or we say, is it beyond increasing our market share? It's our how reachable we are, or our spread across a lot of places. And having EAs around, and why do we pick in this direction, is that it's not about just having EAs, but it's also what level of maturity, what sort of free hands have been given to the EAs to be able to grow that capability in terms of assisting and helping the business to grow in the direction for which it has set. And one key thing is that rather than having silos application, you must enforce architectural standards. I'll tell you today, in my experience over the years, even consulting for so many organizations, we came to the realization that even those that had EAs were not enforcing those standards. They were not enforcing the standards. It was more like as I said earlier, technology was driving what the business will do in terms of the business capabilities and everything. It was just like an open market, an open season of bring whatever tool you want. Oh, EA, just put your stamp of approval, as against where you have the EAs helping you in helping you derive the right either return on investment, help you lower your total cost of ownership because of the kind of solutions that they looking at that business capabilities, they'll be able to say this is what stands. So many other organizations today also, when you look at in terms of integration, our reviews show that a lot of them sort of put out either some solutions that are called API management tools. However, these tools are not really API management tools. Rather, they're just tools where you are creating more of a of a proxy integration as against a proper orchestration that helps you realign every other API that you're able to manage at some point. These are the knowledges a lot of EAs bring to the fore in environments where they are giving that level of clarity to what they can do within those environments. This is put out as what is actually the journey in a lot of organizations. I'll tell you this. One key thing that we've also looked at is if you walk into certain organizations, what you have there today is more around ad hoc EAs. So it's more of a document-centric approach where everything is just documentation. However, these documentations, are there standards that were in place that are guiding? So within the architectural principles, you have that guidance in terms of at which stages are you performing a particular operation. Your documentations are just artifacts that come at the end of some of this environment. But based on the way we describe it, ad hoc EA means it's quite reactive. It's more like, oh, they're doing this. Let's quickly document. When you move on to the other stage where we say defined, it means that within such an environment, you're having things that look at how will I put it? That looks more around. You are now following standard principles. You have an architectural review board. You have an architectural repository. Every design you've done in terms of business capability will match whatever kind of maybe reference model you've put in place. And the last part is the value-driven part. So I won't dwell much on managed EA, but the key thing is that at the end of the day, there needs to be that growth pattern where you've gotten to where EAs are value-driven. So in terms of the strategies that have come out, how are we executing these strategies? And we keep going back to capabilities, because the key component to any implementation or design or whatever you are building for an organization comes from that level of saying, do you have the capability? Do you have the kind of resources? A lot of people ask at times, why do we talk about people architecture? Yes, we talk about people architecture because one key thing that comes out from people architecture is, what are the skill sets to be able to deliver on this business capability? Do they have the right resources as the team to drive this? Do they have the right set of messaging, the right set of tools that they are meant to use for those skilled resources to be able to build and deliver on those things? All these are flows that comes out from an engagement with the EA. And once an organization can follow through with some of these things, it sort of helps them in terms of delivering. Today we look at it and say, oh, while you are building any architecture or building any solution, are you referencing the existing architecture? Because there are architectures that have been defined to say, okay, for us to get from point A to point B, or if you have some kind of 3-5 year strategy, whatever you have built within those strategy strategy document showing that your expected transition to where you want to get has to be at the level where there is um, a value coming out of what has been designed, and this is the end point of where you um, intend to get to. So we could say, from even if you look at from what we're looking at the maturity level, it has to be, there will be strategic alignment, there is architectural and governance, there is integration capabilities, and whatever is within your portfolio in terms of applications and all that, it needs to be transparent enough. The information there needs to be enough to for you to be able to provide guidance to such organizations. And at the end of the day, are all these things measurable? Now, everything we're discussing here is in an organization where that maturity exists, or in an organization where they are striving towards, this maturity um, within the architectural space. You have solutions, or I'll say, for example, maybe let's say a financial sector has the business capability of lending, so maybe a fintech lending. However, for them to go into lending, an architect would have sat down to look at what sort of application, what sort of data are they intending to capture, and all these things will determine, the outcome, or whatever he or she is building at that point in time. So, what is our value proposition to ensure that EA's work is well seen and is quite strategic and beneficial to those organizations? One key thing that I've also had in a lot of places, when you enter into meetings with the CXAs, and they're telling you that, look, EAs are looking more like a stumbling block than an enabler. How are we ourselves redefining ourselves to ensure that we are not roadblocks, rather we're enablers, as much as we create checkpoints to the delivery for that real value add we're expecting at the end of the day? Do we have faster strategy for execution? Are we providing this to the business? Are we guiding them in that way? We're showing from the beginning to the end of a particular, say you today you want to go into a mass market, you've done your segmentation of that type of market that you intend to step into. What is the plan? Are you providing them this sort of plan that, once, based on what we've outlined, we'll be able to deliver within this time? These are the value outcomes from what we're doing. Are there risks, maybe regulatory or whatever? How do you manage around this? It is also good that most EAs in situations like this have a high level of understanding beyond just the role, because I see today you have a lot of people who are maybe, say, technology savvy, but they're jumping into the role of EAs. But where's the business acumen part? Where is understanding the risk factors around you? Where is understanding operational efficiency or operational processes? Because all this is what makes up your ability to be able to provide for such organizations that you're advising, or such organizations for where you sit at that strategic position, to be able to help the organization drive to their final goal. It's by ensuring that you're able to help them in terms of their execution. You're able to show them traceable value. You're able to show also how the risk that are showing up will be managed. You are showing that the systems that are being put in place are scalable systems. They will be efficient enough that there are not going to be technical debts in terms of what they are building, from time to time. So our path forward. What should our path forward be? Basically, for a lot of African enterprises, what we're looking at is ensure that within those organizations, what is their maturity? How do they understand the EA's role? How do they see that the EA's role is integral to every part of the business and what they do? which is why we say there has to be a baseline and an assessment done based on that baseline. Now, mapping all the capabilities. So a business comes and says, look, we need help. We want to digitally transform our environment. We want to move to the next level. How are you mapping the capabilities that are present? How are you seeing the gaps that exist? How are you advising on how these gaps can be filled and the values that will come for them? Then you look at it. If there are organizations that, what are the tools and processes they are looking? Are there duplicated tools? Are there tools that could be enhanced and others that can be retired? Which is why you must ensure that you take a full inventory of what they have, and then you move on to delivering those inventories. So sorry about my um, my design. It's meant to be the first three lines. So as I said, the key thing, even today, at times I pick around the financial sector. You are looking at today things we say open banking, cross-border transactions. There is a Pan-African payment system that is there today, trying to do integration across so that we do cross-currency swaps and all that. How are you sitting down to look? What value is that bringing to the organization where you are? How are you integrating into such platforms? Are there APIs that you are exposing to them? What structures are these APIs? Are they in line with baseline developments and referencing standards for API development? All these are things that EAs will help guide these organizations. And until we begin to guide them in a direction where they can grow from an ad hoc documented process to a value delivering organization, that is when we know that, we, even as architects, have been able, to assist them to achieve what they want to do within those organizations. I want to close out at this point, but one key thing that I know is that in a lot of places, we always mistake architecture as just being creation of diagrams. But the truth of it is that architecture is more about creating clarity. Um, Clarity in how, let's say, the business strategy that the organization has defined, clarity to say what are the achievable, what are the metrics to get to this strategy that you have listed, what kind of technology platforms are they going to be on, or are they digital ecosystems that we could plug into, in order to be able to create maybe a sustainable value for that business. And I'll finally say, for Africa's digital transformation to succeed, architecture maturity must evolve alongside every of the innovations that are coming today. Thank you. Sorry, I can't hear you. You are muted.
Yeah, Mr. Chigo, thank you so much. God has really blessed you with us to be here, and we've really learned a lot. Thank you so much. Quickly, we'll be moving on to the next speaker, and he's Stanley Jojo. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know if I pronounced it well.
That's
He's my
okay.
new Kenyan friend. You're welcome. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Toyo. I hope I've
Yeah.
also pronounced your name correctly. And thanks, Chigo, for that introductory presentation.
Thank you. So you have the floor now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. All right. Let me start off by welcoming everybody to this presentation. I'll be covering the topic around how enterprise architecture can reduce your corporate's IT spend. And this is basically the few topics of discussion we'll be covering today. I want to start off by giving a brief profile presentation about myself, and then we'll get into the various topics of discussion. And I've basically been in the enterprise architecture space for the past 17 years. Have had the privilege of working with various organizations like Oracle, Airtel, Africa, Equity Group, to name but a few. And I've had the opportunity of working across Africa and Europe. And these are some of my accomplishments. Been able to work with various governments in Rwanda, Sierra Leone. As like I've mentioned, I've worked with Jubilee Insurance, Airtel Africa, Equity Group, to name but a few. And one of my biggest accomplishments in most of these organizations is being able to bring down IT spend. And that is why I am very, very passionate about this particular topic, because we'll delve into how I've practically been able to realize this in some of these organizations. So looking at the cost outlay for most corporations, this is what statistics have shown. We have quite a number of IT budgets being wasted on redundant digital assets that are currently there. And annually, we have around $2.7 trillion going into global waste. And we've also seen that from the numbers, around 72% of organizations lack IT architecture clarity. And we realize also that most of the IT budgets that are out there are over budget. And what are some of the reasons why this is happening? This is mostly because of, one, you have a lot of technical debt that you're paying for. You have what Chigo was mentioning, you have capabilities that are being done in multiple applications. So, and for these applications, you have to keep the lights on. You have to pay for the server. You have to pay for IT staff to run those applications. Those are redundant systems that are basically just taking in costs. You have legacy applications consuming a lot of IT spend. Because some of these, especially like in financial institutions where I have a lot of experience, you realize some of the core applications are running on very legacy, technology, which means that you cannot be able to take advantage of some of the advantages that are there in cloud, cloud environments. And then there's also poor visibility in terms of the total cost of ownership. What you cannot be able to measure, you cannot manage. So it's important that you have an inventory of your IT assets so that you're able to know for this particular business capability is running this particular application, and this particular application is running on this technology infrastructure. And this is how much this technology infrastructure is costing. Without that visibility, it's very hard for you to manage the cost. So then what is the root cause of this? One is that you realize that you don't have an architectural blueprint for your entire enterprise. It's important you have a very clear visibility of what your baseline is. What do I currently have? And secondly, what do I want to have? Yep. Then lack of governance and investment decision framework. You've had Chigo talking about architecture review boards. They are very, very important from a governance perspective to triage projects that are to be onboarded and ensure that they are fit for purpose. They are going to meet the intended strategy for the organization. If for whatever reason a project is not meeting this criteria, then it's a very difficult decision that the architecture board has to make to drop it. which is a very, very important gate to ensure that you avoid unnecessary costs down the line. Then reactive IT purchasing versus strategic planning. For the blueprint, it normally comes up with initiatives that need to be done in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So with that, you're able to strategically plan your IT spend and how capabilities are going to be onboarded onto an enterprise, rather than being reactive and doing purchases that end up increasing technical debt. And then last but not least is you lack when you have a lack of alignment between business strategy and your IT strategy, is going to create opportunities for this crisis that I've just spelled out for you guys. So that's a very, very strong preamble in terms of how this IT cost crisis management is brought about. So in terms of the various building blocks, I normally say that the most important one is the business architecture. It is the one that wags the tail for the others. I say that the business architecture is the head, because this is where now there is the mesh of the strategies, there is a meshing of the plans, there is a meshing of the capability mapping, and then all the others now cascade from there. So once you have a very strong business architecture, you're able now to have a very strong data architecture, you're able to have a strong application architecture and technology architecture. So using a standard like TOGAF, it gives you a blueprint for you to be able to have a very cost-aware architecture. Because in the various stages, there are various ways in which you can be able to start ensuring that you're able to do mitigation of unnecessary costs. Let me give, for example, like the vision, the architecture vision. You may have an architecture vision of going through a digital transformation phase where you have cloud native applications. So if at all you have that as your architecture vision, and in the process of an architecture review board, a project is brought on board that wants to bring on board very legacy technology like COBOL, for example. For you to run such an application on a public hyperscaler, it means that you'll have to spin up a VM. You can't be able to take advantage of some of the serverless architectures that are there. So at that point in time, you can be able to stop such a project and avoid unnecessary costs of having to run VMs in a public hyperscaler, which we know very well that they come with with cost implications. Another one is, for example, phases B to D, where you're looking at the business architecture going all the way to technology. So at this stage, you avoid duplication. If you have a capability in finance, for example, for making payments of invoices, another department that has the same capability, like for a bank, maybe treasury, have access to maybe make payments. All payments should be centralized in finance, as much as maybe treasury may be able to make payments because they may have that ability. So at that point in time, you avoid having duplicate capabilities in different functions. Another one is having duplicate applications doing the same capability. So you have maybe an ERP doing procure to pay, and you also have another application that does maybe just invoicing. So at that point in time, as an architect, you ensure that you have the margin of these capabilities in one application. Same case for data. You have multiple data, most master datas, which leads to more storage costs and not having a single source of truth. And lastly, also technology. You have, VMs running instead of having, containerized cloud-native applications that are more cost-effective. Another important part that we have in the TOGAF standard is what we call opportunities and solutions, looking at how we can be able to reduce procurement costs. Will we rather buy or sell for a particular solution. So that kind of decisioning can be done at that stage and be able to help guide the business in terms of being able to de-risk projects going forward. And then migration planning, you sequence migrations to avoid costly rollbacks and downtime. Very, very key. Working closely, the enterprise architects, working closely with the project management team to ensure that the planning is done optimally. Implementation governance, this is where now it comes to the execution of the plans. You ensure that these governance gates across the project life cycle to ensure that whatever was approved in the architecture review board is actually what is implemented to avoid costly plans going forward. The same case also for change management. Enterprise architects play a very, very important role in ensuring that changes that are being made are not going to introduce any technical debt or unnecessary costs going forward. Yeah. Now, let's look at some practical aspects that I've actually used to help me in bringing down costs. One is the rationalization, which I talked about. In one of the organizations I've worked for, I was able to bring down the number of applications from 200 to less than 50 by doing what I'll call capability rationalization, going all the way to, I was using the ETOM standard, going all the way to the 4th level of the ETOM standard to ensure that there's a lot of granularity to avoid skipping any capabilities. And it actually brought about cost savings of around $25 million. Then cloud strategy is very, very important because now some of the capabilities that are there on the cloud, if you have codes that you are running, you can use maybe something like function as a service, and you'll only be charged when a function is executed. So when you're not using it, you're not paying for it. So that actually helps bring down your costs. Standardization, very, very key to avoid vendor lock-in. And it's important you have a standards catalog of all technologies that are going to be accepted in the enterprise. And this is actually now used in the architecture review board. If there is any technology that is not part of that catalog, don't have it in because there is a risk of vendor lock-ins and using legacy application. Governance, I talked about it. Another part that has actually helped me a lot in my career is reuse, where you're able to use architecture building blocks that have been defined in the past and solution building blocks. What does this mean? So, for example, you have a reporting capability. Instead of another department going to purchase another reporting tool, you ensure that that reporting tool can also be extended to another department in the organization. For them to reuse it, it's just a matter now of looking at how you can be able to increase the capacity for them to be able to use that particular capability. Then visibility, to ensure that you have complete visibility of your assets. I talked about that. Then another important thing that happens is eliminating shadow IT. Here's where technology is being introduced without the knowledge of the IT department. So you hear finance has gone ahead and procured a tool that is doing ABCD. Treasury has gone to procure a tool that is doing ABCD. This introduces that unbudgeted spend, which now leads to ballooning of IT costs. Because now this particular tool that has been introduced most likely will run as a silo. So it brings about a lot of inefficiencies in how it's going to be run. It introduces more headcount to be able to ensure that it's able to run correctly. So this particular occurrence in most organizations should be reduced to a minimum, and having the architecture review board ensuring that any procurement of any digital assets has to go through that is normally part of what I would call the maturity of an enterprise architecture for any organization. And then the entire organization needs to really embrace enterprise architecture. And as you go along, you have that maturity going up, you're able to mitigate such occurrences. Then cloud and infrastructure rationalization. I've been in an environment where because of lack of rationalization of cloud utilization, you realize that everybody's spinning up a VM, everybody's spinning up a VM, everybody's spinning up a database instance. Before you know it, your monthly cloud costs are hitting millions of dollars. And now you're charged with the work of now bringing down the cost. So I've been in an environment where the cloud environments were over $1 million per month, and we were able to bring down that cost to around 300, 200K per month by ensuring that we put in place governance around spinning up environments on a cloud environment. So this is very, very important, that governance, to help in bringing down that cost. So another part that I'd talked on at a very high level is the application portfolio management. You need to understand your application portfolio and categorize it accordingly. And once you're able to categorize your application assets, then you're able to know, am I going to go ahead and invest in this particular set of applications? Or am I going to just keep the lights on? So investing means that you're putting in upgrades, you're putting in, you're doing replatforming and all these kind of things. Or are you going to just maintain the application as is? Because, for example, like most of the core banking applications that are there, I usually see the strategy is around maintaining it as is, unless you're bringing on board capability with regards to regulatory or there's a security patch. But in terms of doing innovations around it, you'd want to do around it because it's running a lot of legacy technology, which would be very, very expensive to maintain. So you just try and keep the lights on as much as possible and innovate around it. So that's another category. Another one is eliminate. You may have some applications that are end of life. They're no longer useful. Like, for example, if you're running an ESB, enterprise service bus, and you want to have something a bit more modern, like an API gateway, that's a very good opportunity for you to eliminate it and introduce something more superior than it that will be able to give you better flexibility and agility in running innovation. Another one is you may want to review a particular application and put it in one of the other categories for proper actioning going forward. I talked about data architecture and information efficiency, where you may have multiple copies of data all over the place. Case in point, you may have supplier data in the ERP, you have supplier data in another application. How do you rationalize this data? How do you ensure that you don't have redundant data math? So in one of the organizations I was working in, I came in and found out that they're pulling data from the core applications into the data map, doing full pooling of data instead of incremental, and this used to lead to very, very high ETL costs and also storage costs. And also, so some of the ways you can be able to mitigate this using enterprise architecture and reduce this cost is look at how can you be able to have a master data manager, for example. where you're able to store all your master data and have you have it as a single source of truth. So you have your supplier data there, you have your customer data there, you have your item master there, you have your price master there, so that it makes it very easy for the channels. If you're like in a financial institution and you have multiple channels, and they need to quickly know for this particular product, what is the price for this? Instead of going to pull it from the core applications, get it from the master data. It makes it very agile for the developers when they want to consume that data. And having a canonical data format. What does this mean? Canonical data format is using a particular standard to represent how you define your APIs, for example. So if you want, for example, to pull data from an insurance master data, and they say that they are conforming to Accord, then you know these are the fields that are available. For banking, if they are conforming to BN, you know these are the various canonical data formats that are being used. If it's in communication, they're using ETOM. These are the data models that are used to get customer information, to get product information, and so on and so forth. Another important one that I normally try and enforce is information lifecycle. And this helps reduce your costs drastically. Because you have, especially if you're in the cloud environment, various storage types have different price tags. The faster your storage is, the more expensive it's going to be. The slower your storage, the slower it's going to be. And you have hot, medium, and cold data. So for your hot data, have it in the fast storage. For medium heat of data, have it in medium cost storage, and for the ones that you rarely use, have it in the archive. And based on the data retention laws, you look at how you can even be able to completely purge it. That's very, very important. And consolidation of data platforms, the data lakehouse approach. I usually try and advocate for this, especially when you have a lot of velocity of data coming in. You want to get insights quickly. You have a lot of unstructured data coming in. It's very, very important that you have that consolidation. So we've talked about architecture governance, very, very key. The architecture review board, very important in having those gates of ensuring that the architecture vision is being followed. The various domains, capabilities are avoided, and so on and so forth. Architecture, compliance reviews. This is when you're doing the implementation, you ensure that the various gates are in place. Architecture contracts, the formal agreements between development and architecture. And this also covers vendors, ensuring that the various architectural tenets and principles are being conformed with. And the capability assessment, very, very important for us to do it. Now, vendor management, never leave out also vendors from going through the various enterprise architecture governance checks that are in place, because they can also introduce technical debt into your environment, and you end up having high OpEx costs trying to keep the lights on technology that is very difficult to get personnel to support. Very important to keep the lights on, and so on and so forth. So it's important as you have EA in place to keep on checking the various metrics that are there. Cost per IT capabilities are very important. A number of systems that are on a standard stack. This helps from, especially when you're introducing EA in an environment that has been going on for a while. In an organization where that starts with EA, these parameters, so these metrics will normally look very good. The parameters are strong, but in an environment where EA has come on board and there are legacy systems running, some of these parameters are usually not very, very good. So architecture compliance, number of applications that are being commissioned, shadow IT incidents per quarter, very, very key to keep track of this, to be able to help inform the architectural strategy going forward. Okay, in the interest of time, let me not talk of the case study. I've given a few examples. So in terms of the various phases and the potential for cost reduction, you'll see that phases B, C, and D, this is business architecture, data architecture, applications and technology architecture. They hold most of the weight in terms of bringing down your costs. So it's very, very important that from an architecture governance perspective, a lot of emphasis is put in those particular spaces. I think I talked about all this. So in terms of roadmap, you can look at having quick wins, 0 to 3 months, where you put down your inventory, identify the redundant applications, you establish your EA board, Enterprise Architecture Review Board, and you can adopt TOGAF as one of the standards, and then move to the foundation where you complete the various phases that I've talked about, define target architectures, and so on and so forth. And then you do your rationalization. The four boxes that I showed you: invest, maintain, eliminate. Very, very key. And then you have that feedback cycle with the metrics. You continue optimizing until you checking the metrics until you ensure that you're heading in the right direction. So that's all I had prepared for you, and these are the key takeaways. So using EA, you can see reduction of your IT spend by around 20-40%. And in my last assignment, I think last year I was able to save around $40 million by using EA. So this is not just the talk. This is something that I've actually lived by. And using the architecture development methodology, you're able to have phase-by-phase cost reduction. The application portfolio management is a very, very powerful tool. So please look at how you can be able to utilize it for your organization. And the architecture governance prevents future cost creep, and organizations that invest in EA will definitely outperform their peers in the IT space. So thank you very much, and back to you, Toyo.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Stanley. You have really educated us on how to be sure that we reduce costs at all costs, by all means. We reduce costs, and I believe this I believe this is what many organizations want to hear whenever you are bringing EA to them. They want you to tell them how effective is it going to be for them to reduce costs and to get a return on their investment. This is awesome. Thank you so much. We will take a break for 3 minutes for Solomon Baye from Ethiopia to prepare. And please, we'll come back in 3 minutes' time. Thank you. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. I hope we are all back. It's good to be back. I hope we've
everyone.
been able to grab. Yeah, welcome, Solomon. It's good to see you. Yeah, I believe we grabbed a cup of tea or coffee or biscuit to start with. Solomon Baye now. He's from Ethiopia and he will be talking to us about beyond compliance. He's one of our security experts. And you have the floor now, Solomon. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you.
Yeah, Solomon, you have the floor.
My, Thank you very much. My name is Solomon Baye from Ethiopia. I am an information security architect working at Ethio Telecom. Even if I am a recent practitioner on these domains, I have an opportunity to work as for enterprise architecture for the big firm with another team members as a consultant. And also we applied for our own company this enterprise architecture and enterprise security architecture based on this SABSA and TOGAF framework. So today I really pleased to be a speaker for this enterprise architecture conference. My topic is about the beyond compliance, architecting cyber resilience for Africa's mobile money with SABSA and TOGAF. First, let's see how Africa mobile money ecosystem looks like. Africa is undisputed global leader in mobile money, a position it has held for over a decade. According to the GSM Mobile Economy Africa 2025 report highlights the mobile money technologies and services generated around 7.7% of Africa GDP in 2024, which is equivalent to 220 billion of economic value added. So this is not just about technology, it's about empowerment. And mobile money has become the primary financial rail for millions, enabling everything from peer-to-peer transfer to international remittance, merchant payments, access to credit. To understand the security challenge, we must first appreciate this complexity of ecosystem. It has evolved for beyond simple P2P transfers into a vibrant, interconnected digital market. As you see on this slide, the mobile money transaction grows in the sub-Saharan Africa, increase from $500 million into trillions of dollars currently. So moving from simple P2P transfer to a vibrant, interconnected digital marketplace with bank agents and fintechs. So after we cover how big this ecosystem, how it impacts Africa's economy, we need to see how can we make it secure. This interconnectedness driven by the rise of open APIs initiatives like JSME Open Gateway is a double-edged sword. While it fuels innovation and creates a seamless user experience, it also dramatically expands the attack surface. A vulnerability in a single small fintech partner could potentially compromise the entire ecosystem. This is why a holistic architecture-driven approach to security is no longer optional. It is essential for survival. So in this ecosystem, we are fighting the forefront war. The front door, the API surface, the human element, the insider trait, and also the foundation for the core. So this forefront, we need to protect this ecosystem from these four fronts. The first one, the front door, the API attack surface. Here, APIs are the lifeblood of modern mobile money ecosystem, enabling the seamless integration of third-party services. They are also the new front door for attackers. So we need to be ready architecturally to protect these major traitors. So to withstand these things, these traitors, compliance is not the only solution. When we say beyond compliance, compliance is the floor, not the ceiling. For example, in mobile money scenario, complying with PCI DSS or the other ISO doesn't ensure we are protected from all attacks. So that here it comes, this architecture, the TOGAF and SABSA integration is crucial. When we see the compliance illusion, the compliance is like the snapshot. Point in time, it's audit-based checks that capture a single moment in time. It is a minimum bar, not the ceiling, meeting this baseline regulatory requirements. And also it is reactive approach, codifying lessons from yesterday battles. We can take this analogy, the building code versus the earthquake. When we try to build some civil architectural building, we may align with that national building code. That national code may be first drafted 20 years ago. It may not reflect the current scenario. After we build our house, we may face the earthquake, which is identified within recent years. So our architecture need to be future ready, not only compliance driven. It needs to be resilient. It needs to be continuous with persistent state of readiness and adaptation. As much as possible, it needs to take the optimal state tailored to specific high-stake risks and business context, and also proactive, ready for tomorrow threats and new emerging threats. So the strategic shift from this prevent to resilient will be achieved by following this major principle, the zero trust architecture, which is talking about never trust, always verify. Whenever it's internal or external, it needs to be verified. For example, mostly when a person enters the internal network, we just provide the privilege to access other things also. But this approach doesn't work in zero trust architecture. We need to always verify. If it tries to access some critical things, we are going to escalate it. But whenever we do this architecture work, we need to do it without influencing the usability also. We need to balance the usability and the security also here. When we come to this defense in depth, using layered security for each layers, protecting our perimeter, protecting our data, protecting our application, we need to ensure single point of failure need not to compromise our system. If there is a single point of failure, the other needs to overtake. So that's the main idea of defense index. And also the assume breach, architecting with the mindset that an intrusion is inevitable. Focus on blast radius reduction and rapid detection. Assume breach, build our architecture assuming we face a breach. Without facing the real breach, we assume breach and build our system on that mindset. So here it comes, the integration of this enterprise architecture and security architecture. Here we can see how we can transform from tactical security to enterprise security architecture. The common security approach, it is about ad hoc implementation of security tools and controls. Its characteristics are tool-driven and reactive, isolated solutions, compliance-focused, and no alignment to business. The challenges here are silos and integration issues, high long-term cost, security gaps and risks, limited business value. Overall, this is a tactical and fragmented, and this is the common security approach in many industries. What is enterprise architecture? It's a structured framework aligning IT processes and technology with business strategy. The key benefits are business IT alignment. Our IT needs to be driven by our business. Our investment should be on the right business pain point. Standardization and integration, technology governance, and reduced complexity. Overall, it is strategic and unified, this enterprise architecture. What is this enterprise security architecture? Enterprise security architecture is embedding security capabilities aligning with business risk and enterprise architecture. The famous framework for this enterprise security architecture is SABSA, which is Shrewd Applied Business Security Architecture. The two frameworks have common approach, both talking about business-driven approach. The two frameworks even agreed to release the white paper in 2011, which is SABSA and TOGAF integration. And the key benefits of this enterprise security architecture is risk-driven security. The technical solutions comes after doing our risk analysis for our business. So our investment needs to address very critical risks instead of just tool-driven and just vendor-driven approaches. We invest based on our high risks. Integrated security capabilities. Securities are integrated in every layer. They are built in, not bolted on. They are not afterthoughts. They just start from the very beginning. And policy, processes, and control alignment. And also secure the digital transformation. And also the cost-effective protection, the key benefits of ASA. So it's overall business-driven and resilient approach. The blueprint integrating SABSA and TOGAF, which is a white paper, you can refer this. It's released on October 2011 by the open group TOGAF and SABSA, which is talking about the SABSA, the security why, which is business-driven security architecture derived from business requirements and risk appetite. And TOGAF is the architecture how, the industry standard for developing enterprise architecture through structured iterative methodologies. So the architect and the security engineer, security is designed into the skyscraper's blueprint from day one. not bolted on afterthought. So these two frameworks can work together effectively. In SAPSA, there is strategy and planning. This part consists contextual and conceptual security architecture. It can be aligned with TOGAF preliminary and phase A, which is architecture vision. In strategy and planning, we establish the security stakeholders, business drivers, and overarching architecture vision, define this risk appetite, attribute profiling. Then we will go to this architecture design after we finish the foundation, which is the strategy and planning. So it can be aligned with this TOGAF approach. On the design part, which is in the TOGAF phase B, which is business architecture, formulates the business risk model, security domain model, security policy architecture, and enterprise trust framework. And also we architect logical information system, services, and physical technology mechanism. And we will do the gap analysis. On the third stage, we will go to the solution implementation. In the TOGAF, here opportunities in phase A, select distinct component layer security technologies. For example, IAM, WAF, SIEM, based on the enterprise control frameworks. And this migration, which is covered in TOGAF, and quality assurance covered in this part. The fourth part is manage and measure. Here in SAPSA, we need to manage and measure using the governance and change within TOGAF and performance monitoring. So these two frameworks can work together. So when you come to the reference architecture for secure mobile money, we need to consider these 4 tiers. The first one is the consumer tier. The consumer tier consists the secure app hardening, biometric, multi-factor authentication, user education against social engineering. So we need to conduct these things to secure our consumer tier. The second one is the access tier. The access tier is which consists the API gateway. So we use this OpenIDC, OAuth, WAF, and different DDoS mitigations for perimeter defense. The third one is the security tier. Here it is our security operation and fraud management. In this tier, we use SIEM, SOAR for analytics, for automatic response, SOAR, and privilege access management. And the fourth one is the main core, the core tier of the mobile money ecosystem. Here with encrypted ledger, transaction integrity, and robust disaster recovery. Finally, I try to put some POC modeling using the Archimate. Like I mentioned before, we are fighting the forefront war. One of it is our API. So I try to do this POC, architecting the super app ecosystem. Here we can see see the different layers. The first one is the contextual, or in TOGAF, the preliminary and phase A. So here we need to we see what is our business driver, what is our business strategy. Here we can see the super app ecosystem expansion. As a business person, this is a business requirement. I want to expand my ecosystem. I want to integrate to different third parties, banks, fintechs, via APIs. But this strategy also creates this straight landscape. So we analyze there is a concept called attribute in SABSA. We align with also this attribute can be expressed like requirement in enterprise architecture. So for this strategy, we align with attribute high integrity and always available. So for these attributes are our assets. Here we are talking about our assets are our business drivers, goals, objectives, and we need to start from our operational risk instead of common approaches, doing risks for our technology, servers, database. Here the approach is to do the risk analysis for our operational risk. Then after we analyze our assets vulnerability, what impact our value. Here our value is digital trust and regulatory license. Then the impact will be systematic wallet runs and sanctions. Then we are coming with, after doing this risk analysis, we are coming with this risk, which is front door API exposure risk. Then to mitigate this risk, we put the zero trust perimeter principle. So we just go down to from abstract to concrete. So how do we going to execute this policy, zero trust perimeter? By using B2B API routing and payload inspection service. And also we put this application component, which is enterprise API gateway. Then finally, we select the technology. Based on this, we select AI-driven web application firewall, WAF. So if we are asked, why do we invest on this technology? We can justify, we purchase this technology to enable our business, to expand our ecosystem. So our investment directly aligns with the business strategy. This is all I have. And the final message I want to send is for CIOs, shift your focus from compliance budget to resilience strategy. Invest in architecture that protects the business, not just the checklist. And for the architect, adopt the SAP TOGAF integration as your standard. Design security into the fabric of enterprise from the start. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Solomon. You have really opened our eyes to see how relevant security and cyber is very important in our mobile money. This is strictly talking to our banker friends or people in the banking industry. We are so educated right now about how much we need to be compliant security wise in whatever EA we are going to deploy. Thank you so much, Solomon. Right now,
Thank you.
we will be taking another break for 2 minutes. And when we come back, we'll be joining Benanga Isa from Gabon, but he will be speaking in French. We will go ahead as soon as 2 minutes is over. Thank you. You're welcome, Mr.
Hello, everybody.
Meranga.
Hello, everybody.
Sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be translating your topic in English to everybody. It's a frugal and agile enterprise architecture, adapting international framework to Africa reality. So you have the floor, sir.
Okay. I have shared my presentation in the I'm an information systems engineer and enterprise architecture expert. I am based in Libreville, Gabon. So I will continue this presentation in French for clarity. Thank you. OK. Donc, le sujet qui nous réunit, comme je l'ai indiqué en introduction, est le suivant: l'architecture d'entreprise frugale et agile, adapter les frameworks internationaux aux réalités africaines. Alors, donc cette thématique va tourner autour de 3 points principaux. Nous allons rapidement rappeler le contexte dans lequel le continent se situe. Nous allons en réalité évoquer le paradoxe de la transformation numérique en Afrique, c'est-à-dire que les efforts que justement le continent africain met en œuvre de façon à pouvoir rattraper le gap en matière de transformation numérique par rapport aux pays occidentaux, confrontés aux réalités du continent, aux défis pour lesquels, en tout cas, le continent devrait s'investir. Donc, on va établir, mettre en avant, en exergue ce paradoxe-là, dans un premier temps, pour nous fixer par rapport au contexte actuel. En deuxième lieu, nous allons parler des limites des frameworks internationaux dans le contexte africain. Nous verrons dans cette partie justement que les frameworks, en tout cas ces cas de travail qui sont préconisés justement au niveau international en matière d'architecture d'entreprise sont matures, sont intéressants. Seulement, nous allons voir comment pouvoir les adapter au contexte africain, parce que là également, il y a des réalités auxquelles justement nous devrions tenir compte au niveau du continent. Et en troisième lieu, par rapport au sujet, nous parlerons de l'architecture d'entreprise frugale, donc le sujet qui nous réunit justement ici. Qu'est-ce qu'on entend par architecture d'entreprise frugale et agile, et comment est-ce qu'on peut mettre en place une telle démarche. Donc voilà autour de quoi notre thématique va s'articuler. Alors, le paradoxe de la transformation numérique en Afrique, eh bien, comme nous pouvons le constater, l'Afrique est l'une des régions où la transformation numérique est la plus rapide, mais aussi celle où les ressources techniques, financières et énergétiques sont les plus contraintes. Donc, effectivement, on voit les efforts qui sont faits au niveau des pays africains pour rattraper justement le gap constaté en matière de transformation numérique avec les pays occidentaux. Donc, il y a vraiment un réel engouement, sauf que cet engouement est heurté par un certain nombre de réalités. Comme on peut le voir tout à l'heure à travers le schéma indiqué, le continent africain est confronté à des limites en termes de budgétisation. Donc, souvent, les budgets octroyés en matière de transformation numérique ne sont pas totalement suffisants. Donc, ça, c'est une première difficulté à laquelle nos pays sont confrontés. Ça a été évoqué, je crois, dans les présentations précédentes. Il y a également la problématique concernant les infrastructures vraiment structurantes, qui sont instables. Infrastructures en matière d'énergie, c'est-à-dire infrastructures énergétiques, infrastructures en termes de connectivité, d'interconnexion, de télécommunications de façon générale. Là également, le continent africain connaît quelques difficultés. On peut également évoquer la pénurie d'architectes d'entreprises certifiés, donc c'est-à-dire des profils vraiment adaptés pour mener en œuvre ce type d'approche à une échelle vraiment importante, donc c'est-à-dire appliquer justement les cadres internationaux qui sont mis à nos dispositions en matière d'architecture d'entreprise. On n'a pas beaucoup justement de techniciens qui soient certifiés qui aient ces compétences-là. Donc là également, l'Afrique est confrontée à cette situation. Au-delà de cela, on peut également évoquer la problématique des silos. Donc, on a des infrastructures, des systèmes d'information qui sont construits au niveau des organisations, mais qui sont confrontés justement à un problème d'interopérabilité qui n'existe pas. Donc, on a des silos de systèmes d'information, donc des infrastructures hétérogènes et fragmentées. Donc là également, cette problématique est évidente et elle est réellement constatée au niveau de nos pays africains. Alors, toujours dans le cadre du paradoxe de la transformation numérique en Afrique, eh bien, au fil des années, on a accusé des lenteurs. Et en 2026, effectivement, ce paradoxe se durcit. Pourquoi nous le disons? Parce qu'aujourd'hui, nous avons d'un côté l'économie numérique qui a atteint des sommets financiers historiques. On l'a vu avec les présentations de tout à l'heure. On a vu vraiment ce que l'Afrique génère en termes de gains en matière de mobile banking, de e-commerce de façon générale. Donc vraiment, ce sont des avancées plutôt significatives, intéressantes. Mais au niveau des infrastructures, on l'a évoqué tout à l'heure, la fracture structurelle, elle est là, elle persiste. Donc tout ceci est exacerbé par des coûts d'accès qui stagnent, une régulation qui peine à survivre, qui peine à suivre plutôt. Donc les coûts d'accès justement à la data restent préoccupants, comparé un peu au prix que nous avons au niveau de l'Occident. Donc ça, c'est justement une difficulté pour nous au niveau de nos États africains. Les régulateurs, en tout cas d'opérateurs de téléphonie, font des efforts, justement, mais on constate que ces efforts méritent d'être davantage accentués de façon à ce que nos populations, nos citoyens puissent avoir justement la possibilité de pouvoir accéder aux ressources Internet, de pouvoir accéder à une connectivité qui soit abordable, de manière à pouvoir justement pouvoir bénéficier de tous les services, en tout cas digitaux, qui puissent être mis en place, que ce soit au niveau des services publics comme au niveau du secteur privé. Donc, juste pour évoquer quelques chiffres, on a quelques chiffres ici qui sont indiqués dans le tableau, comme on peut le constater. Donc, 113 milliards de dollars prévus à l'horizon 2029 pour le marché de l'e-commerce, avec une croissance attendue de 49% d'ici 2028. Donc, nous sommes en 2026. Et donc, en matière de e-commerce, de transactions financières via les canaux électroniques, eh bien, les études montrent que nous sommes à une estimation qui est de l'ordre de 49% pour d'ici 2028. Et d'ici 2029, à l'horizon 2029, comme le chiffre l'indique ici, nous sommes à une estimation qui tourne autour de 113 milliards de dollars. Donc, vraiment, c'est pour dire que vraiment, les chiffres sont importants. Il y a vraiment beaucoup à gagner à continuer de poursuivre nos efforts, en tout cas en la matière. En matière de e-gouvernement, donc là, on va évoquer les aspects concernant le développement, tout ce qui est digitalisation au niveau des services publics. On a un indicateur, à savoir l'indice de développement de l'e-gouvernement, donc EGDI, et qui est justement un indicateur, une statistique qui permet justement de pouvoir classifier, en tout cas, les pays au niveau mondial en matière de maturité numérique pour tout ce qui concerne la digitalisation, en tout cas des services publics à l'endroit des citoyens. Et dans ce classement EGDI, on a quand même des pays africains qui font partie des pays en tête de liste. À l'exemple de l'Afrique du Sud, de l'île Maurice, la Tunisie, le Maroc, les Seychelles ou encore l'Égypte. Donc c'est vraiment pour dire que, en tout cas, les États africains font l'effort de rattraper le gap. Cet indice de notation montre vraiment que des efforts sont faits au niveau du continent africain pour essayer de rattraper le retard constaté par rapport à nos voisins occidentaux. Mais malheureusement, comme on le disait tout à l'heure, eh bien, nous constatons quand même des fractures au niveau structurel en matière au niveau, dans un plan systémique. Déjà avec ce chiffre que nous présentons ici, comme on peut le voir dans le troisième compartiment de la figure, il est question de 1,1 milliard de cartes SIM qui sont détenues par nos concitoyens au niveau du continent africain. Donc, ça fait presque autant de cartes SIM que d'habitants au niveau du continent africain. À titre de rappel, le continent africain aujourd'hui compte à peu près 1,6 milliard d'habitants de façon générale. Et donc, quand on fait le ratio, 1,1 milliard de cartes SIM pour une population globale de 1,6 milliard de personnes, eh bien, on se rend compte que le mobile est très utilisé en Afrique. Mais malheureusement, à côté de cela, eh bien, le paradoxe, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, nous comptons encore environ 400 millions d'Africains qui n'ont toujours pas d'identité légale, c'est-à-dire qui n'ont pas d'acte de naissance, qui n'ont pas de carte d'identité. C'est des situations qui sont visibles, qui sont fréquentes, en tout cas qui demeurent au niveau de nos États respectifs, qui sont réelles, ce sont des situations réelles. Et donc, cette situation fait que malheureusement, on a du mal à pouvoir amorcer en tout cas des approches en matière de mise en place d'identité digitale. Parce que comme on le sait, aujourd'hui, au niveau des pays, notamment au niveau des services publics digitalisés qui sont mis à disposition des citoyens, on part sur la base d'une identité numérique pour chaque citoyen, via la nécessité de mettre en place un numéro d'identification personnelle pour chaque citoyen. Et donc, on comprend clairement que si le citoyen n'a pas d'identité légale, n'a pas d'acte de naissance, n'a pas de carte d'identité, eh bien, à partir de ce moment-là, ça devient difficile de le répertorier et de faire le parallèle, le pont, la transition au niveau du cyberespace. Et donc, ça, c'est des préoccupations, justement, qui sont réelles, que nous vivons au niveau du continent. Donc, le mobile est très utilisé. On a évoqué les chiffres tout à l'heure en matière de e-commerce, mobile banking. On a vu la proportion de détention de cartes SIM par habitant au niveau du continent africain. Donc, c'est vraiment pour dire qu'il y a des possibilités, il y a des leviers intéressants en matière de transformation numérique au niveau du continent, mais que nous avons du mal à pouvoir amorcer du fait d'un certain nombre d'éléments, de défis, de contraintes, en tout cas, qui sont observés au niveau du continent. Autre élément important, là, nous sommes au niveau du 4e bloc de la figure. Donc, la vitesse de téléchargement moyenne aujourd'hui au niveau du continent africain reste 3 à 4 fois inférieure à la moyenne mondiale. Parce que, effectivement, on l'a dit un peu plus haut, les opérateurs de téléphonie, malheureusement aujourd'hui au niveau du continent, connaissent des saturations en matière de technologie 4G et malheureusement également, ce qu'on peut également constater, c'est que les infrastructures de dernier kilomètre sont vétustes, ont du mal à être maintenues correctement. Donc, tout ceci indique clairement que d'un côté, il y a cette volonté de passer, de rattraper vraiment le retard en matière de transformation numérique, d'accélérer le processus de transformation digitale au niveau du continent, mais on constate également qu'il y a des défis importants à relever et dont il faudrait nécessairement tenir compte. Alors, ici, nous allons parler à présent des frameworks, donc des cadres d'architecture d'entreprise qui sont les plus utilisés aujourd'hui en matière d'architecture d'entreprise. Et nous allons voir ici justement comment ces frameworks internationaux connaissent des limites en matière d'application au niveau de nos organisations ici au niveau africain. Donc, on va commencer par les présenter brièvement. En tout cas, au niveau de l'audience, je pense que nous connaissons très bien de quoi il s'agit. Nous connaissons plus ou moins de façon générique ces cadres de travail qui sont évoqués ici. On a le cadre TOGAF que nous connaissons bien, qui est un cadre méthodologique utilisé depuis une trentaine d'années par les architectes d'entreprise pour concevoir, déployer, maintenir les architectures d'entreprise à partir d'un processus itératif, dont le fameux cycle ADM, fondé sur les bonnes pratiques et les actifs réutilisables. Donc ça, c'est TOGAF. De l'autre côté, on a le framework Zachman, qui est plutôt lui un métamodèle, un modèle conceptuel d'architecture d'entreprise, qui est lui plutôt conçu pour organiser et structurer la description des systèmes d'information d'une organisation selon différentes perspectives. Et puis, on a de l'autre côté le cadre SAFE, donc Scaled Agile Framework, qui est un cadre méthodologique destiné à appliquer les principes Agile, Lean, DevOps à l'échelle de l'entreprise. Donc, ça veut dire que plus, lorsque votre entreprise connaît un certain accroissement, eh bien, lorsque vous voulez appliquer les principes d'agilité dans le cadre de vos projets de transformation numérique, à partir du moment où l'organisation prendre la taille, eh bien, le cadre STEF est justement adapté à ce type de cas de figure. Alors, maintenant, quelle est la différence justement ces cas de travail? Nous voulons rapidement le rappeler ici. C'est que, de façon simple, TOGAF est une méthodologie d'architecture. Donc, c'est une méthode au cœur, donc la méthodologie ADM qu'on connaît avec les différentes phases, donc 10 phases au total. Et autour de cette méthodologie, vous avez des principes, des guidelines, en tout cas des lignes directrices, des pratiques, des techniques qui sont mis à disposition pour pouvoir conduire justement un chantier d'architecture de bout en bout. Zachman également était un modèle conceptuel, mais vraiment est un modèle conceptuel, pas une méthodologie, comme c'est le cas pour TOGAF et CEF. Et donc, c'est la différence justement à mettre ici en exergue. Donc, on voit ici parmi ces cadres de travail qui sont vraiment utilisés, qui sont intéressants pour tout ce qui est mise en place de projets d'informatisation basés sur les principes d'architecture d'entreprise. On a ces cadres, ces normes, ces standards qui sont à nos dispositions, qui fonctionnent très bien. Mais la différence qu'on voulait mettre ici en avant est que il y a justement une différence entre les cadres de travail qui constituent des méthodologies en elles-mêmes et des cadres de travail qui constituent justement des méthodes modèles, des modèles conceptuels. Donc, ce sont des cadres qui vous mettent à disposition un certain nombre d'éléments pour pouvoir structurer, faire la description justement de votre système d'information. Alors, maintenant, pour ce qui est des limites à proprement parler, nous avons ce tableau qui schématise bien ce que nous entendons par limite de ces frameworks internationaux qui ont fait leurs preuves. Hein. On l'a dit tout à l'heure, plus de 30 ans d'application pour le cadre TOGAF, et c'est également valable pour les autres cadres que nous avons évoqués tout à l'heure. Sauf que pour le continent africain, pour les organisations du continent africain, eh bien, cela peut s'avérer assez délicat. Déjà, la première limite que nous pouvons mettre en avant, c'est que les cycles sont parfois... Donc, certains programmes d'architecture peuvent prendre 2 à 3 ans avant les premiers résultats à observer. Mais dans beaucoup de gouvernements africains, comme nous le savons, les cycles politiques sont plutôt courts, ou encore, on peut constater également la pression forte pour ce qui est d'obtenir des résultats rapides. Donc souvent, au niveau du continent africain, les changements, ils sont continus. Or, ces frameworks nécessitent d'être déployés vraiment en tenant compte de la durée, du temps. Il faut vraiment un temps, en tout cas suffisamment adéquat pour pouvoir déployer et voir justement les résultats escomptés. Donc ça, c'est la première limite, les cycles de développement de ces cadres méthodologiques, de ces cadres de travail en matière d'architecture d'entreprise. Il y a également la complexité, dont la complexité également est là. Certains programmes d'architecture impliquent la production de dizaines de livrables, comportent une documentation très lourde. Donc, ce n'est pas toujours facile à appréhender. On n'a pas toujours nécessairement les profils appropriés pour pouvoir justement s'approprier ces cadres de travail, mais également les ressources disponibles dédiées vraiment à des projets de transformation numérique qui nécessitent justement d'appliquer ces principes en matière d'architecture d'entreprise. Donc, cela également constitue une difficulté. Troisième difficulté, on l'a évoqué un peu plus haut, ce sont les ressources financières qui sont parfois très limitées. Malheureusement, ou heureusement, en tout cas, CEF ont été conçus pour des organisations matures, stables et bien financées. Par contre, le constat en Afrique, c'est que les budgets sont souvent très limités ou incertains. Et donc, ce que nous pouvons dire à ce stade, c'est que le défi pour les organisations africaines n'est pas de choisir entre ces frameworks, mais c'est plutôt de pouvoir les adapter de manière frugale et pragmatique à des contextes de ressources limitées. Donc, on ne va pas les appliquer telles quelles, parce que justement, nos organisations au niveau du continent africain ne sont pas adaptées pour cela. Mais ce que nous sommes plutôt encouragés à faire, c'est de pouvoir les adapter de manière frugale et pragmatique. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'on entend par architecture frugale? On va d'abord commencer par redéfinir ce qu'on entend par architecture d'entreprise. En tout cas, au niveau de l'audience, pour la plupart ici, nous savons les questions, c'est les rappels que nous faisons. Alors, l'architecture d'entreprise est une discipline visant à aligner de manière cohérente l'ensemble des composants d'une organisation. Les composants d'une organisation, c'est généralement les process, c'est la data, c'est les applications, c'est l'architecture technologique. Donc, c'est vraiment aligner de manière cohérente l'ensemble de ces composants avec la stratégie et les objectifs métiers de l'organisation. Donc, ça, c'est l'architecture d'entreprise, de manière générique. L'architecture frugale, quant à elle, c'est un type d'architecture d'entreprise, mais qui consiste à concevoir des systèmes organisationnels et techniques qui soient durables, performants, sobres, en maximisant la valeur avec un minimum de ressources. Ici, vous avez justement une image qui essaye d'illustrer les 5 principes clés justement de l'architecture d'entreprise, comme on peut le constater ici. Alors, donc c'est déjà la simplicité. Il faut rechercher plutôt la simplicité, concevoir des systèmes simples, compréhensibles et maintenables, éviter la suringénierie et les technologies inutiles, favoriser des solutions éprouvées, plutôt des solutions à la mode. Donc, il faut vraiment être orienté architecture simple, architecture minimaliste, facilement déployable et facilement maintenable. Le second principe des architectures frugales, c'est la notion de réutilisabilité et de mutualisation des ressources. Cela, on l'a entendu tout à l'heure avec les présentations qui ont précédé. Donc, ça nécessite que si nous avons des composants existants au niveau de nos référentiels d'architecture, au niveau de nos repositories d'architecture, nous sommes encouragés justement lorsque nous entamons un projet d'architecture, de transformation numérique basée sur les principes d'architecture d'entreprise, de tenir compte justement de cette notion de réutilisation. Donc, ça, c'est un second principe important à tenir compte et qui est parfaitement en adéquation avec nos réalités au niveau du continent. Troisième principe, c'est avoir une approche orientée besoins réels. J'ai envie de dire que c'est le premier principe. Donc, concevoir en fonction des besoins métiers prioritaires de l'organisation. Donc, c'est déjà recensé au niveau de l'organisation quels sont les processus qui impactent réellement l'organisation, qui apportent de la valeur à votre organisation. Donc, c'est vraiment avoir une telle approche de manière à pouvoir, en tout cas, traiter vraiment les questions urgentes et prioritaires de l'organisation qui vont justement permettre à l'organisation de pouvoir se développer comme cela se doit. Quatrième principe, c'est le principe d'interopérabilité. Donc, utiliser des standards ouverts, des API simples, basés sur les technologies simples, assurer la compatibilité entre les systèmes existants et futurs, limiter le verrouillage technologique. Donc, c'est autant d'éléments, en tout cas, à prendre en compte lorsque nous sommes amenés à pouvoir concevoir de tel type d'architecture, donc des entreprises, des architectures moins gourmandes en termes de ressources, mais qui arrivent qui nous aident justement à atteindre les résultats escomptés à la base. Cinquième principe et le dernier que nous voulons évoquer ici en matière d'architecture d'entreprise frugale et agile, c'est la sobriété et l'optimisation des ressources. Donc, optimiser l'usage des infrastructures, parce que, comme nous le savons, à un moment donné, il va falloir héberger un certain nombre de services. Et donc, il faut favoriser, ce qui est préconisé, c'est plutôt de favoriser des architectures légères, d'accord, au niveau, en matière d'architecture applicative, privilégier des architectures microservices. Pourquoi? Parce que, eh bien, tout simplement, elles sont facilement maintenables. Ça nous évite d'avoir, comme c'est le cas pour des architectures monolithiques, ou, comme on le sait, hein, pour le moindre changement, eh bien, on soit obligé de revoir l'ensemble du système. Donc, privilégier ce type d'architecture légère, facilement maintenable, mesurer et réduire l'empreinte numérique avec toutes les questions écologiques aujourd'hui. Donc, ce qui est également préconisé, c'est vraiment de s'orienter vers des solutions, ce qu'on appelle généralement le Green IT, donc des solutions, en tout cas, qui permettent justement de pouvoir s'aligner avec justement ces objectifs qui sont préconisés au niveau mondial et qui souillent davantage, en tout cas, comme on le dit, hein, qui génèrent moins de carbone, donc des architectures qui vraiment tiennent compte de l'endommagement, donc de tout ce qui est effet de serre. Green IT, comme on l'a dit tout à l'heure, donc le concept, c'est un peu celui-là. Donc, on va plutôt aller pour illustrer de manière simple, c'est-à-dire en matière d'énergie, en matière de data center, ce qui est préconisé, c'est d'avoir, plutôt que d'utiliser justement des sources d'énergie classiques, ce qui est préconisé, c'est d'utiliser plutôt des énergies propres comme le solaire, ainsi de suite. Donc, c'est autant justement d'éléments à prendre en compte lorsque nous sommes amenés à déployer une architecture qui soit frugale et agile. Alors, comment est-ce que cela peut se faire concrètement? Eh bien, deux approches sont possibles. Ce qu'on peut faire, c'est qu'on peut mixer un certain nombre de frameworks, notamment ce que nous avons présenté tout à l'heure. Pourquoi nous le disons? Eh bien, tout simplement parce qu'à la base, le cadre TOGAF, par exemple, dans ses versions précédentes, la version 9 et avant, n'intégrait pas nécessairement les questions d'agilité. À partir de la version 10, c'est possible, comme le montre le compartiment juste à droite. Donc, à partir de la version 10 de TOGAF, eh bien, il y a la possibilité de pouvoir intégrer, en tout cas, il y a des techniques qui sont justement indiquées pour voir comment intégrer les questions d'agilité dans le cadre TOGAF. Mais pour les versions précédentes du cadre TOGAF, ces questions n'étaient pas vraiment évoquées. D'où, si nous avons une expertise dans ces versions antérieures du cadre TOGAF en matière d'architecture d'entreprise, ce qui est préconisé justement en matière de transformation numérique, et c'est cette approche avec d'autres approches. Donc, on aura la partie SAFE, donc le cadre SAFE, qui va gérer tout ce qui est agilité, et on aura le cadre Zachman qui va nous permettre de pouvoir justement aller rapidement à tout ce qui est à la description de nos éléments importants, des éléments de notre organisation. Le cadre Zachman, comme indiqué au niveau de la figure ici, qui va nous permettre de pouvoir cartographier les éléments stratégiques de notre organisation, ce que nous trouvons vraiment pertinent. Et là, la couche TOGAF va justement gérer toute la partie tactique et la couche SAFE va gérer toute la partie opérationnelle en tenant compte des principes d'agilité. Donc ça, c'est une approche qui est préconisée et que nous pouvons tout à fait appliquer à nos réalités africaines. Alors, pour terminer, quelques recommandations foliennes. Première recommandation, au vu de tout ce que nous venons d'évoquer, eh bien, il y a avec Smart Africa, eh bien, un mémorandum d'entente qui a été signé en novembre 2023 entre Smart Africa et The Group. Les activités ont commencé. Justement, ces activités consistent à mettre en place un cadre d'architecture contextuelle, donc c'est-à-dire propre au continent africain. Mais au-delà de ce grand chantier, de ce premier grand chantier, ce que nous pouvons également recommander à la suite de cela, c'est de pouvoir créer un programme africain de certification et de reconnaissance des architectes d'entreprise. C'est également de pouvoir institutionnaliser la fonction d'architecte dans les États. Parce que, comme on l'a dit tout à l'heure, les questions d'architecture ne sont pas souvent prises en compte. Et donc, c'est de pouvoir justement avoir des experts en la matière, les reconnaître au niveau étatique de manière à ce qu'ils puissent accompagner convenablement nos États en matière de développement de transformation numérique basée sur les principes d'architecture d'entreprise. Troisième recommandation, c'est de déployer des ILabs au niveau du continent. On peut s'appuyer sur Smart Africa justement pour créer ces laboratoires, ces bacs à sable continentaux, de façon à pouvoir, dans la pratique, vraiment mettre en œuvre toute cette démarche en matière d'architecture d'entreprise. Quatrième recommandation, c'est le financement. Non, c'est plutôt financer un programme massif de formation en architecture d'entreprise. Donc là, on voit les formations qui sont orientées vers les grandes écoles, les universités, de manière à ce qu'au niveau du continent africain, vraiment, ces questions soient rapidement prises en compte. Parce que, comme on le sait, quand on regarde les curricula qui sont dispensés au niveau des écoles africaines, c'est des curricula classiques, donc c'est des disciplines classiques, comme on le sait. mais tout ce qui touche à l'architecture d'entreprise à proprement parler n'est pas nécessairement intégré dans cette curricula. Donc, c'est également un plaidoyer que nous faisons dans ce sens. Cinquième recommandation, c'est de créer un marché continental de services d'architecture. Donc, après avoir répertorié justement l'ensemble de nos architectes au niveau du continent, on pourrait, pourquoi pas, eh bien, voir la possibilité de pouvoir, en fonction des projets qui sont menés dans les différents pays du continent, eh bien, faire appel à cette expertise locale au lieu de nous tourner à chaque fois systématiquement vers nos amis occidentaux. Sixième recommandation, c'est imposer l'architecture comme prérequis des projets publics. Ça rejoint ce que nous avons dit au point 2. Créer un référentiel de souveraineté numérique africain et enfin mesurer la maturité des pays en matière d'architecture. Ça permettra justement de booster, de créer un engouement autour de la discipline et au final d'impacter sérieusement nos États, d'accélérer dans le bon sens la transformation numérique que nous voulons dans le pays, dans le continent, en toute sérénité et de manière résiliente. Donc voilà ce que nous pouvions dire par rapport à ce qui est d'appliquer justement les frameworks internationaux au niveau du continent africain, en tenant compte du contexte africain. Et cette dernière parole que je souhaiterais partager avec vous en guise de conclusion, c'est dire que l'Afrique, justement, n'a pas besoin, basé sur ce que la documentation nous met
Hello. Merci. Ça, even though my French is still at the infant stage, I really appreciate your coming here and speaking with us. Yeah, really now we know how important the frugal and the agile enterprise architecture is must be adapted into the framework uh, for African reality. Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate the lecture.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, quickly we'll be moving on to the next speaker, Brighton Makaza. Yeah, he will be speaking to us on strengthening enterprise, architecture, governance to accelerate digital transformation in Africa institutions. You're welcome, Makaza. If you can hear me, you have the floor now.
Yes, hello, hi Toyo. Can you hear me?
Makaza, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, hello, hi Toyo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. So you have the floor now.
All right, thank you so much. Let me just quickly share my slide. Toyo, can you just confirm? Let me know if you can now see my screen just before I put it on slideshow. Hello, Toyo, can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, so I just got the green light that I can start. I wasn't sure if I'm audible or not. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Interesting discussions for the day. Let me just put my on slide two. Okay, so interesting, very interesting discussions for the day. I've been following some of the panelists in there. Very eloquent and rich discussions from Stanley, Solomon to Nsa Baranja. So my name is Brandon Makaza. I'm from Zimbabwe. So today I'm going to be presenting on the topic strengthening enterprise architecture governance to accelerate digital transformation in African institutions. One of my mentors told me that you must treat EA as a first-class citizen, not an afterthought. So as such, it's just one thing that I've just thought that I should, bring to your attention, and urge you guys as well to just treat enterprise architecture as a first-class citizen in your organization and in your day-to-day, planning of planning and implementation of digital solutions. So just a second. It looks like I can't see anyone from my slide here. Let me just try to pin it again. Just give me a second. Apologies for that. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Tim. So I just got confirmation that I'm already live in the show. So if you can see me, then that's okay. Thanks a lot. So just a little bit about my background. I'm in professional enterprise architect from Zimbabwe. I've done TOGAF, I'm TOGAF 10 certified. And in my day-to-day routine, I'm actually an HR specialist. So in that role, I'm also responsible for designing and presenting enterprise architecture work and solution designs to a group of solutions architects. So within our organization, we've got quite a number of architecture boards. I work for an international organization, so I'm the country architect for Zimbabwe. Okay, so just to proceed with our, I think for today, this is the only picture that you're gonna see. I didn't want to scare people with so many designs and diagrams that we design on a daily basis. But just for context, especially just to give you know a, a bit of background in terms of where I come from, I'm sure if you just see that picture there, it's the Mosia Tinya. So it suggests that I come from Zimbabwe or Zambia. But in this particular case, I actually come from Zimbabwe. So this is one of the greatest architectures that we as Zimbabweans are actually proud of showcasing. But it's a discussion for another day. So in the interest of our time, because of the hiccups that we've had, let me just proceed to the next slide. Um, why EA governance matters. I'm happy that I'm the fifth presenter, and quite a number of my other colleagues have actually touched on. I'm not sharing my screen. Okay. Quite a number of my colleagues have actually touched on what EA is about. And okay. So Elias is just confirming that I'm not sharing my screen. Let me just do a screen share again. All right. Okay, so this is better now. Thanks, and I can also see myself on the screen. So yeah. So let's just start from the EA governance aspect. What is EA governance? Why EA governance matters? Maybe that most the number of the first speakers, especially Stanley, touched on the TOGAF and what enterprise architecture is all about. He took us through the ADM stages from A to H, and from the start of establishing the architecture governance all the way up to the implementation stage. So architecture is not just something that you do when you initiate a project and then you live. You live with it, you move with it throughout the implementation of the project. But for me, what's important for me at this point in time is to just contribute in terms of why EA governance matters. EA governance ensures consistent, secure digital transformation aligned with long-term business strategies. So when we say digital transformation, as you know, in today's world, this is a very fast-paced environment when it comes to the changes in the IT sector and also in the information sector. Right now, the buzzword is artificial intelligence. It's AI. We're talking of agentic AI amongst other number of things, generative AI, and so forth. How best can you manage those things? Because things are just popping up from left, right, and center. But as an organization, how best can you manage those things for the benefit of the organization? So we're saying foundation of the e-governance. E-governance ensures consistent and secure digital transformation if you set it right. Another reason is due to the changes in the compliance and regulatory support, regulatory environment. So if you notice, for example, in my country, I know for sure that each and every year we do monetary changes. We change a lot of regulations in terms of the exports. We change a lot of, a lot of things in terms of how business is done on a daily basis. So we are saying, because of that aspect, we need to then align the changes that then happen within the technology environment. If you're an organization, how best can you then respond? You wouldn't want a situation whereby you just respond haphazardly, otherwise you want to have direction. So that's one of the reasons why we want to have an EA governance framework that can actually guide the organization to implement things through, all the changes within the organization as we implement um, digital initiatives. And the other reason is cross-border or cross-functional scalability. So for organizations that have got, multiple businesses, especially across regions and across countries or across markets, depending on how big you are as an organization, enterprise architecture allows you to actually be able to solution across all those geographical, um, geographical or country, trade areas. So it's actually a framework that can actually, that you can use to then monitor and say, if I'm going to change things within my landscape, how best can I do it? If I solution for one thing in one market, should I then reinvent the same thing where I can implement the same item, vis-a-vis just taking into consideration the compliance and regulation aspect as well of that particular jurisdiction, because the regulation and compliance environment differs from one country to another and even from one geography to another, depending on how you operate and how you do your business. So the other reason is enhanced business IT communication. Enterprise architecture bridges that gap. You wouldn't want a situation whereby business is busy rolling out, products that are not really aligned, and even picking on the technologies for use, technologies that are not even approved within the organization. So enterprise architecture, one of the key, you know, um, elements within the enterprise, a matured enterprise architecture, company, is to actually define the technologies that you're supposed to then use and take those technologies for approval through your architecture, boards and committees. It's actually one of the key aspects that we're going to talk about in the next slide. Let me just move. Okay. What are the key governance drivers and definitions within the enterprise architecture space? Increasing regulatory pressures. This is what I was talking about earlier on. Rising data privacy laws and cybersecurity directives require strict governance to ensure compliance across organizations. Rising system complexities. That is hybrid cloud, legacy modernization, and cross-border integrations increase system complexity, demanding structured oversight. For example, right now, I think almost every organization is either evaluating or onboarding, um, cloud deployments or cloud options. Either you're looking at having, deploying your things on AWS or, on a private cloud, maybe on Huawei, depending on how big you are. These technologies are very popular, especially in the financial sector and telecommunication sectors. So, how do you then take these new technologies on board to your benefit as an organization? So, it's one of the key governance drivers for increasing for adopting enterprise a solid enterprise architecture practice. Rising system complexity, a need for interoperability, that is standardized architectures and consistent approaches enable scalable solutions across regional payment and banking platforms, balancing innovation and control. EA governance aligns innovation with strategy, preventing technical debt and ensuring accountability across teams. So, what are the core components of EA governance? This is my favorite part because this is where you bring out the structure in terms of your EA governance processes. I'm looking at architectural principles. This is the I would say the basis of your EA practice as an organization. You must be able to define first your architectural principles, to say what is it that you believe in as an organization. And you must make sure that the architectural principles are clearly understood by everyone who is involved in architecture. So we're talking about fundamental beliefs that guide technology choices. For example, in your company, it can be reuse first. To say, why should we look for new technology that can be more expensive when we already have onboarded, a technology of some sort? Just evaluating. Sometimes all you need is to evaluate and see if it suits your new use case. The other aspect there could be for security by design or cloud first. What is your strategy as an organization? I would say architectural principles are your guidelines as an organization. This is what defines how you do things and how you approach architecture and how you approach new product development and build implementation up to deployment and how you manage changes as well. Standards and reference architectures, these are key for an organization. It will guide the way you do things. For example, you must have a cloud a cloud reference architecture. This will be your tool to say whenever you want to do implementations, this is what then guides how you do your integrations. For example, if you're going to be doing hybrid integrations, you need to know the technologies that you then use in between. In terms of the gateways, if it's going to be a physical gateway or dedicated API gateways for you to integrate on-prem systems with cloud systems. Are you fond as an organization? Are you fond of using software as a service platforms, or you'd rather build? And what does it mean for you to build? In terms of cost and in terms of the support, you need to reference architectures now. They come in handy in terms of guiding integration and cloud on cloud, or even putting security controls. For example, even today we're talking of, in the payments industry, we talk of PCI DSS compliancy. It's one of the key aspects. And for some vendors, you won't even be allowed to integrate into them if you're not PCI DSS compliant. So what is it that you value as an organization vis-a-vis your regulatory controls, your compliancy requirements, and even at a bigger scale, like at a country scale, to say what is it that is valued. Architecture review boards. So this is what I was getting to earlier on when I said you need to have a proper structure in terms of the review boards. Who makes a decision in your organization? Is it just the CIO who says, okay, my mother told me to choose this one when you want, let's say, for example, you want to choose a technology stack to use, but it's based on what? And architecture, especially the TOGAF framework, it recognizes that not a single individual entity knows everything. So it's actually a good standard in terms of in fact, it prescribes that you must be able to establish architecture boards at different levels, be it within business units or at country levels, depending on how your organization is structured, so that you can have these multiple levels and layers of assessing and approving, architectures, specifically when you want to onboard or take on board new technology. It is very important. Approval and compliance processes. I touched on this earlier on. So what is the governance operating model for EAs? Strategic governance layer, the enterprise architecture board sets vision and aligns architecture with organizational goals at the strategic level. Tactical review committees, design authorities review and approve architecture designs, ensuring standards and risk management across programs and projects. This is what I was just pointing out earlier to say you must be able to have different levels of review committees and technical boards for accessing especially new technology when you want to onboard new technology and even evaluating the current technology depending on how big the request is. I think of a bank, for example. Let's say you want to change your core banking system. What sort of governance committee are you going to look up to for approval and also for recommendations in terms of which banking system or core banking system to take on board? Because that will be a major project for you. So operational implementation, project architects implement governance policies, ensuring consistent adherence to design standards and security, supporting governance processes, clear processes like demand intake reviews and compliance tracking, ensuring governance is predictable and repeatable. Governance across the project lifecycle. This is also another key aspect for me because I've noticed that luckily I've worked with quite a number of organizations, and one thing that I've picked up is that they treat architecture as an event where someone just develops an architecture framework, presents it to a design authority committee at whatever level. Once an approval comes through, they drop the document, and then developers start developing the way they see it or the way they want it. Architecture it's not about control. Yes, the control element is there, but it's about guiding and establishing the best practice in terms of how you do things and how you implement things. So this is where the governance ideation comes into place. Governance ideation ensures initiatives align with business strategy, regulations, and technology direction during project ideation. It defines what to include when you're doing your RFPs or POC invitations. And when you're doing this process, you must make sure that you bring the SMEs, subject matter experts, from across the organizational, functional areas like procurement and compliance teams. Those guys are key in bringing in the third aspect, especially around compliance, because those are the things that can become very costly for you in the future if you do not implement things properly. So decisions shouldn't just be made based on price, for example. You must also make decisions based on compliance and other important stuff. Governance in design enforces compliance with standards, architecture, security, and integration requirements during design. So remember, I said we have to define the standards that we as an organization work with. So those are the design. This is the aspect that enforces that compliance when developing and implementing new solutions. Governance in build and testing. So as you are building and testing, the architects should be there. They should follow through. They should be doing litmus tests to say, this is the standard that was approved. How are we implementing? Is it the correct way? So you are there from the start to finish, and even post-implementation, managing the changes around change and deployment, even migration as well. So this is one of the key aspects that are mentioned in TOGAF. It is an iterative process. And TOGAF is very fond. In fact, TOGAF as a framework, it's not a prescriptive sort of framework, but it's a generally accepted framework in terms of how things should be done. And iteration is one of the key aspects. You have to do checks and balances, go back to project teams, just aligning on how you're doing things. And this is especially around the building and testing aspect. governance in deployment and operations, confirms production readiness, and conducts ongoing audits to ensure compliance throughout the operations. This is my last slide. I won't take much of your time. And in terms of this slide, it's actually a key extract from the TOGAF capability and governance framework that I took in terms of the key architecture governance, key success factors. Right. So it is important to consider the following to ensure a successful approach to architecture governance and to the effective management of the architecture contract. Number one, best practices for the submission, adoption, reuse, reporting, and retirement of architecture policies, procedures, roles, skills, organizational structures, and support services. So this point is basically talking about views and different viewpoints as you implement your EA architecture governance framework. The second point, organizational responsibilities and structures to support the architecture governance process and reporting requirements. Integration of tools and processes to facilitate the take-up of the processes, both procedurally and culturally. Criteria for the control of the architecture governance process, dispensations, compliance, assessments, in terms of your SLAs, service level agreements, and OLAs. Internal and external requirements for effectiveness, efficiency, confidentiality, integrity, availability, compliance, and reliability of architecture governance related information, services, and processes. So I'm someone who is very supportive of a framework, I would say, when you want to implement or when you want to do your architecture governance within your organization. You have to be able to choose a framework, but generally TOGAF, it's a framework that can even be used by other frameworks like AKI model. It's a framework that is flexible, but on its own, it's actually a wholesome framework that allows you to actually look at things and do check things against a framework. That's what a framework is about. It's different from a practice. Like in project management, I also have a project management background because I'm a Prince 2 certified practitioner. It's prescriptive. It means you have to do things the Prince 2 way. Let's say you want to use Prince 2 as your preferred, project management practice. But with TOGAF, it's a bit flexible, but at the same time, the guidelines are quite solid. And if you follow TOGAF, I would say it'll be much easier for you to actually implement and follow through your implementations from start to finish. So I would say at this point, thank you. I know I was just brushing through most of the key items there because almost every point that I mentioned there, it's actually a topic on its own, especially around top-up when we're implementing TOGAF and within the enterprise architecture world. But I hope next time we have more time to just do a deep dive into some of those key aspects and even share knowledge. Thank you very much. I'll give back the mic to Toyo and Elias. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Makaza, thank you so much. Thank you. My own key take home is we should take decisions based on compliance. It's very key in taking good decision when we are planning to go digital, especially in our society as we continue to accommodate going digital in Africa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And quickly
Thank you so much, Toyo. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Calling in the next speaker Next speaker is Marceline Stella from Cameroon. She's a senior EA manager, and she will be helping us to go deep into EA as innovation accelerator. Stella, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, the first lady in our midst. Yeah. So you can go ahead. You're mute.
Yes, I am mute. Okay, thank you to you. Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be part of this discussion because it's really a discussion of how we are really positioning enterprise architecture as a pivotal role in terms of innovation for African organizations. So let me share my screen. Let me know once you are able to see it. If you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Hello? Okay. Can you able also to hear me? Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. I will start at the beginning to share my screen. Okay, hi everyone. Today I'm delighted to present how the enterprise architecture has playing a pivotal role for in terms of innovation, mainly by driving transformation through strategic and technological framework. So here today, enterprise architecture is no more only a technical discipline. It's also a key discipline in order to accelerate the business growth and also grow acceleration. In terms of agenda, on our agenda today, we'll go through the context. Context is to understand the how the how the enterprise architecture is playing a key role and how we have a disruption on organization Africa, and also how now on enterprise architecture can drive the innovation through the different value. Now we are talking about strategy. We need to have enterprise architecture and in action. So we move from vision to execution. And the first, our call will be the call to action. So how to trigger recommendation. We know now what we need to do, how we need to apply is something also that we'll discuss during the presentation. In terms of context, our African organization is having its face rapid digital disruption. First, due to mainly issue. The first issue is the fragmented system and legacy pain point. So when I'm talking about fragmented system, from now we have many in most of organization. I will not say all the organization. In most of our organization, we have our system platform working and isolate mode. So the system are not able to communicate maybe because they have legacy technology, and we know when the system is fragmented, we are not able to collaborate and working together. We are talking also about silo team and limited end-to-end vision. I hear the presentation that the team and people do it before me, saying how the enterprise architecture will come and play a bridge between the business and also technology execution. So we have this issue in terms of silo team. We don't have the visibility. Maybe I take an example for technology. On technology side, we are focusing only on our requirement. We don't see the technology team go beyond the vision of the enterprise. So that when we don't have the vision, we work on silo and we cannot build an architecture that can fit with the vision of our enterprise. So we're having this fragmented system, we have this silo team, but we have our customer expectation is increasing. All our customers now want the service on real time. Now, I want something, I need to have it now. I need to have it near to me. So the expectation of our customer is very high. So we have also this issue. We have also our interoperability across fintech, telco, and digital channel that is not really embedded in our key capability. When you are thinking also about driving and services, we need to think about the regulatory. We need to think about the compliance. We need to have all this view. And sometimes we don't have this view when we're developing and services. At the end of the day, we are receiving main complaint because we have not yet, I can say, we don't do this coherence and acceleration. And here, this is where enterprise architecture comes. Enterprise architecture comes as an orchestrator for acceleration the innovation because innovation is not something that is nice to have here. It's something that is important. It's a must. It's a must for an enterprise because if you don't innovate, you will die. So this is the context that we have. And in the next slide, you will see how enterprise architecture are playing a key role. So now we have the value. We have the value for enterprise architecture. So the value is not something that is theoretical, it's not strategic. It's something that comes to resolve the issue in order to improve the the different enterprise to resolve the issue about innovation. So the first value for enterprise playing a key role for innovation is strategic innovation bridge. Enterprise architecture, as I said at the beginning, is not something that is only purely technical enough. It's come to play like a bridge, a link between business vision and technical execution. On technology, we cannot start doing something without agreeing on the value of the business. We are not here to deliver service for technology. We are here to deliver service for our customer. And our customer, the need of our customer is reflected in the vision of on the business. This is why the first value is to, okay, close the strategic innovation page. After discussing, okay, now the enterprise vision is clear. I know exactly what the business wants. Now I can think about ecosystem and platform mindset because enterprise architecture also we see on previous presentation that okay we have technological and architectural enterprise architecture. Enterprise architecture create a structural view for capability. We need to do an assessment on our process, how our process because it's not first is not about the platform, it's about the ecosystem in terms of process. I need to ensure that in my presentation. Sorry, give me a few time. Okay, I need to ensure that in my present in my ecosystem, I have the different process. I have the people able to finalize and to execute the strategy of the enterprise. After that, I can think now in terms of platform. And having this after this exercise, I need to do a gap about where I want to be and where I am from now. We are saying that okay, the target and the initial state. And based on that, I can now also thinking about my portfolio and investment governance because when I realize, okay, this is where I want to be and this is where I am, I need to finalize with a roadmap. But it's not something that I can embrace directly. I need to work with them to prioritize which feature, which capability based on business alignment, bringing a kind of value directly to my customer. This is why enterprise architecture also work with the different other discipline like agile, like security, in order to ensure that okay, what we are bringing is coming to resolve the issue. Now we are talking about cross-functional collaboration. Cross-functional collaboration because when the services are available, we need to align the vision across technology, commercial, and also in enterprise architecture is part of technology, but on technology also we need to be part of operation. So we need to have a cross-functional collaboration between commercial, technology, and operation. Because all the services available, we need to be ensured that okay, the service that we have, the platform that we put in place, bringing really a value to our customer. Once this one is done, we need to accelerate the digital initiative. Accelerating digital is why we already have the platform, we already have the ecosystem. We need to think directly on what can impact the value of our customer and the life also of our customer. Now, let us see how AI drive innovation. What is the capability? The first thing is the business capability modeling. I as presented in the first in the previous slide, we have our target. We are building our blueprint. In our blueprint, we show really what is our capability. So we need to decide which one, how we need to organize, what is the high level, and how the organization can look like in terms of process and also in terms of system. In enterprise architecture, we have the open architecture. When we are talking about innovation, we really need to have an open architecture. One of our pain point in terms of disruption in terms of digital is because um, we have this fragmented system, and the system is fragmented because the system cannot work end to end in order to have an unified experience. So this is why having an open architecture is something that is key. When we're talking about open architecture, it's API based, cloud first, and also microservices. We already have it. And when we are saying also we need to run enterprise architecture, we need to think about a simplified technology landscape. If you have fragmented system, you need to, in your analysis, to check which uh, which application I can merge. Also, in turn, to reduce the cost and also to really support the innovation because having many applications is not something that is really it's not the best practice. It's important we can have two or three platforms, but integrated end to end in order to unify the experience of our customer. Because when you have we have less application, the time to market and also the operationalization and also the maintenance is something that is really key, is really key for you. In terms of culture of experimentation, on enterprise architecture is something that we drive innovation. You know already your environment, you have a sandbox when you can quickly do an experimentation. You don't affect the your live traffic. So you have a sandbox where you can test everything. Today we are talking about robotics, we are talking about and talking about intelligence artificial, we are talking about anything automation. You need to have a sandbox where the idea, once you have the idea, you can directly start think and you have your software engineering team and you can directly start developing. So without impacting the the live traffic that you have, and you have data richness and governance. Today we know that the data is key. Data is key for an enterprise because having a data, you know exactly how your customer is feeling, how you can position your business for the 2 or 3 times, and it help you also in terms of organization to know exactly what can be the future for your organization. So this element is something that is key for innovation, and this is why enterprise architecture come really to improve the innovation and key a really pivotal goals. Now, in terms of action, we know exactly because we say that okay, it's not only about something that is theory, it's not only about strategy. We need now to operate because enterprise is a bridge between the strategy and the vision. You have your blueprint, you have your roadmap, you have your strategy, you have your vision. Now, how you operate? We have 4 pillars. First thing is the planning. Two is design, three is deliver, and the first the last one is the operate. In terms of planning, as I said at the beginning, you have your strategic and commercial planning and also the different opportunities that you have. Also the enterprise capability map to identify gap and opportunity. At the end of the planning, you identify your target state blueprint, where I wanted to be. You already have it. And how you need to work in order to fix it. Having your plan, now you need to start designing. When you are talking about designing, it will have your solution design, your building block, and also the integration blueprint. Because don't, as I said at the beginning, don't forget that integration and open architecture is something that is key. We cannot work an isolated mode. If you work an isolated mode, we cannot use standard. You need to standardize your platform in order to be compliant with the other industry. Now, we need also to think about the compliance review. This is why enterprise architecture is something that is key. It's not only developed for develop, but it's developed by thinking about security. When you are talking about innovation, we have many breach in terms of cybersecurity. So on enterprise architecture, we think about security, we think about monitoring, because at the end of the day, a customer will use our product, we use our services. We need to be sure that the experience of our customer is monitored, the quality of the report that the quality of service that we are giving to our customer is also aligned. Is important for us. And also the control and design in terms of detect fraud, in terms of detect any gap that we have in the way that we are developing. This is why, and this I can say, this is the key of whole, and also the key, the strength of enterprise architecture, because we are thinking about all at the beginning. We are not surprised by anything appear during the delivery or during the life cycle of the product. We think at the beginning, and this is why the design phase is something that is key important. In terms of delivery now, in the delivery, we are working in Agile, because we need to work in Agile, working with the different Agile teams in order to ensure that the value we are able to bring gradually value to our customer. So we support Agile Squad and also validate solution integrity. In terms of, okay, we already have solution working, how we integrate it together in order to still having our application rationalization, but also have to thinking about how we can need to operate. We need to operate now. We operate. Our customers start using our product. How we are monitoring the experience of our our customer. How we maintain the roadmap. Because don't forget that it's a cycle. When I finalize something directly, I've written on the planning phases, because when I end it, I need to maintain my roadmap. Because don't forget that at the beginning, I define my roadmap, and I need to be sure that the roadmap that I define at the beginning is something that can happen. So we will resume again with the planification, and also the planification can be resumed because or maybe on some defect that we are facing in the life cycle of the product. This is why this is a cycle. It's not something that we do and we left. No, enterprise architecture is as at the beginning and also at the end of the product. So this is the enterprise architecture in action, from vision to execution. So what is the recommendation? What is the recommendation? From, as I said at the beginning, most most of our African industry still having this kind of issue. So when we are facing that, okay, we need to innovate, but we are still having some constraints. Where at which moment we need to start? What first we need to do? So first decision that an enterprise need to do in case they really want enterprise architecture to be part of the discipline, we need to position enterprise architecture as a strategic decision making level. Enterprise architecture not coming at the end. I not finalize my business plan or my vision for at least for 5 or 2 years. After that, I'm calling now the enterprise. That okay, no, enterprise architecture need to be at the beginning. It's playing a key role in terms of strategic decision making level. Secondly, is to establish a strong governance body and promote reusable architecture assets. Once you have your strong governance body, I'm talking about agile, I'm talking about enterprise, I'm talking about each everybody in, and also in terms of business requirement. You put your strong governance And the beginning, enterprise architecture need to be there. Now we are promote reusable architecture. We don't need, if you have an application, we need to think about something that you can reuse. It's not that every time you need to start from scratch. This is why when you are designing your solution, you need to think about the building block that can be used for ABC situation in case you want to have. The next step is build bridge between enterprise architecture, engineering, business unit, and invest also on enterprise architecture skills and training. So now we are talking on how enterprise architecture and working closely with other disciplines in order to ensure that at the end of the day we are able to bring a value to our customer and also invest on enterprise architecture. We have most of enterprise now not really having skills in terms of enterprise architecture is something that we miss, but it's something that is key. As I say, if I want to innovate, I want to be one step ahead on my current business need. The business need to be one step ahead, and also enterprise architecture need to be one step ahead. And enterprise architecture will help the technology to be one step ahead because we are thinking about what we need to do after that. Now the smart small scale progression. So we do step by step. I say you build your blueprint, you build your roadmap, and you start working small, smart goal scales progressively based of the business need and based also of your capability because we have many kind of enterprise. We have medium, high. So it's also depend of what is the budget that we have currently in order to manage and adopt this kind of technology. Now we need to adopt agile and iterative architecture best practice. We know all the thing about architecture best practice. We have API first. We need to be cloud certified. We need everything because we need to scale directly your project, and you need to be open in order to add to embrace the different technological we can have that can happen in the market. So how when we are talking AI for digital transformation in Africa, AI come to address digital challenge. They come to help overcome legacy system that we have in order to grow by creating digital platforms, flexible and scalable digital platform. We have our modern architectural practice. We also have enterprise architecture have its practice in terms of microservice, in terms of omnichannel, in terms because our goal at the end is to improve the customer experience and also efficiency. It's something that is important. Enterprise architecture, we are starting at the unified experience, the experience that I have at the beginning. I need to have the same experience in the different channels that we have. And you cannot do it if you don't think about enterprise architecture. We also have the unified interoperable ecosystem. So our system need to speak together. I am working in an industry. I need to also be open to additional or eventual system that I can open. Today, I'm selling and services. I need to be able at the end of the day to integrate my industry with fintech. I'm saying at the beginning with fintech with other different channel that I can have. So I need to be unified in terms of API in terms of standard that I'm using, and also governance and data empowerment. All about security, all about analytics. If you don't have data today, we cannot do anything. Intelligence artificial now is depend of data that we have. So in our organization, we need to think about how the data is organized, how the data help in order to know your customer and also help you to protect your business and also to think about the next step. And after that, you are thinking about skill and training. You need to have a strong enterprise architecture governance in something that you need. We have many framework. We have TOGAF. We have many things, many framework that we have. We just need to emphasize the fact that okay, we need to use this TOGAF and also use enterprise architecture as a key pivotal. So this is the end of my presentation. It really to show how enterprise architecture a key role can play a key role for an enterprise who want to innovate, because if you don't innovate, you will die. And we really need to have enterprise architecture embedded in your day-to-day activity. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stella. Thank you. We just have to bring in enterprise architecture. Thank you for the innovative ideas you have shared with us. You, you've done us proud. Thank you so much. Really now, hello. Yeah, our next speaker is the Dija from BOC Group. She is the
Hello.
product marketing manager. So she will be taking the floor now. The Dija, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Toya. Thank you. Nice to see you as well. I hope you can hear me.
So you have the floor. Yes, very well, loud and clear.
Good. Thank you. I will shortly share my screen. Let me know if you're seeing it, please. So, I guess you can see my screen now, right? Yes. Okay, so hi everyone, and welcome also from my side to my session, of course. My name is Georgia Radojevic, as Toyo nicely introduced me. I'm a product marketing management for Auto IT at the POC Group. And at the POC Group, we sell software that um, is used for business process management and enterprise architecture. And today I would like to talk to you about our product, Auto IT, that's dedicated to enterprise architecture. And of course, all throughout these sessions before me, you've heard that EA has become such a broad topic, right? But this is exactly why I would like to talk to you about one topic in particular, and that is, as you can see, democratizing enterprise architecture with Auto IT. So, how we aim to make it available to everybody. And so, without further ado, let's dive right in. So, let me start with the simple question. Is enterprise architecture only for architects? Because when people hear enterprise architecture, they often imagine something that's highly specialized, something technical, right? And as such, that's something that is seen as it's owned by a small expert group somewhere in IT. But if we look at the way that organizations actually transform today, so as they go from traditional methods to technology, as they shift to this technology way of work, we see something very different. We see that transformation is happening everywhere. What I mean by this is it's happening in business units where new services and business models are created, in IT departments where systems and platforms evolve, in innovation teams that are experimenting with new and emerging technologies such as AI right now, and of course in operations where processes are continuously optimized. So the real question becomes, can enterprise architecture truly create value if only a handful of experts understand it and can contribute to it? Well, my answer is no, because when EA stays isolated, it often turns into plain documentation. And as such, that doesn't really bring much. Sure, it brings nice diagrams and analysis, but this is not what EA is truly about. EA actually becomes powerful when it becomes collaborative. And what I mean by this is when it connects business, IT, and strategy. This is when it comes to its true power and when it becomes something much more than plain documentation and diagrams and analysis. It becomes a driver of transformation. It supports your decisions while helping you transform to technology way of work. And this is exactly the idea behind what we call democratizing enterprise architecture. So what does democratizing actually mean? Well, at its core, it means making architecture something that the whole organization can participate in. It means making EA, first of all, accessible so people can easily interact with it, even if they are not EA experts. Then understandable, so it speaks the language of the business so that everybody understands it. Usable, so that it supports real business decisions. And collaborative, so multiple stakeholders that I've just mentioned, so people from IT, from marketing, from various business units, so all of those stakeholders can contribute. In other words, it means moving from this idea of architecture for experts to the idea of architecture for everyone. Now, this does not mean lowering standards or reducing architectural rigor. Instead, it means providing the right tools and structures so the different roles in the organization can engage with architecture in ways that make sense for them. And this is exactly where ADO-IT comes in, because it helps democratize enterprise architecture through several key capabilities. First of which I would like to mention is ADO-IT Lean Meta Model, which simplifies Archimate. Archimate is a powerful framework for EA, and ADO-IT Lean Meta Model makes it much more usable for beginners and for non-architects, not experts. Secondly, I'd like to mention workspaces, which provide user-focused architecture services. And finally, I'd like to mention ADO-IT forms, which make contribution easy and structured for everyone. And together, these elements make EA something that can be actively used across the organization, not just maintained by architects. Of course, this is now I've only mentioned this, but I will talk about each and every one of these concepts individually, and I will also show it to you in what it looks like in the tool. But for now, let me say that one of the strengths of EA is that it's not just of ADO-IT, is that it's not just a modeling tool. So modeling is not the only thing that you can do with ADO-IT. Instead, it's a platform that supports a wide range of enterprise architecture use cases, some of which you can see on the slide before you. So let's explain strategic planning, for instance. So if you only have a strategy on paper and it doesn't get translated, this strategy doesn't really mean much, right? Well, with ADO-IT, you can actually translate your strategy into actionable steps. And this means connecting your capabilities to your strategy and then mapping those capabilities in a sense that, well, capabilities don't just happen on their own, right? They're supported by a bunch of processes. These processes rely on various applications. These applications are supported by system software and so on and so forth. So you can see how behind every strategy, there is a net of capabilities that is supported by an entire infrastructure on their own. And this is what ADO-IT helps you see. So strategy, but also how it gets translated and how it gets transformed into actionable steps. The similar goes to all of our solutions. So capability-based planning, enterprise architecture design. One of the most important topics is, of course, application portfolio management, where you can plan your costs and investment strategies for your entire application portfolio, and so on and so forth. And what is great about this is that it's all supported with one tool. So you can even see how those things are interrelated and how one application, for instance, or one capability can be used for various use cases. But yeah, to make this possible, architecture also needs to be easy to work with, right? Because this might sound complex at first, and only architects could understand this. But what we aim to do is to make this accessible for everybody. And this brings me to my next topic, which is ADO-IT Lean Meta Model. I've already mentioned it. So one of the biggest challenges, actually, when it comes to EA is its complexity. And why? Well, because it's usually supported by frameworks that are powerful yet complex. One such framework is Archimate, which ADO-IT supports. So yes, it is powerful, but to be powerful, it also needs to cover various aspects. And as such, it can become complex, right? And as such, it can feel overwhelming, especially for organizations that are just starting their EA initiative. So they might not need all those complex elements, or they might be frightened by them, right? Where do I start? What do I do with all of this, all of these elements? How do I connect them to each other? Well, our answer to this complexity is RIT lean meta model. And what it does is addresses this challenge by simplifying Archimate. So instead of exposing the full complexity of the language, it focuses on the most essential elements needed for a particular architecture work. And this reduces modeling complexity and allows teams to focus on what really matters for them. So it helps organizations focus on the key building blocks of architecture. Those might be capabilities, applications, technologies, and their relationships. And by doing that, the lean meta model supports business-driven architecture work rather than purely technical modeling. It also enables faster adoption of EA practices because teams can start simple and expand over time. So for starters, you might just need capabilities in their applications. And as your organization grows and as it evolves, so does its infrastructure. So then you might also connect these applications to your system software or to their underlying application interfaces, and so on and so forth. Another important aspect of Archimate Lean Meta Model is that it's fully customizable by you. So your organization can adapt the meta model to your own specific needs, maturity level, and governance approach. And as I said, you can choose the meta model at first and then expand it as you grow and as your architecture knowledge grows. However, democratizing architecture is not only about modeling. So yes, RIT Lean Meta Model is great, but it's also about enabling people to contribute information easily. So not to make it overwhelming, not to make it seem like every entry of every application or capability is a lot of work. And this is why we've developed RIT forms. And what RIT forms are is actually governance made easy. What I mean by this is that they make it easy for stakeholders across the organization to contribute their own information without needing to understand architectural modeling. And this changes the nature of governance. It makes it much less intimidating. So instead of it being about strict control, it actually becomes about visibility, insights, and learning. And the idea behind this is simple. You can register your applications, capabilities, technologies, whatever you choose. Like, let's say, organizations often struggle with shadow IT, and that is that people usually use applications that are not necessarily registered in their own portfolio. RIT forms make it easy for them to register those applications, and then for you as an EA expert or somebody who's in charge to see which applications actually bring something to you and which should be adopted by the whole organization and which not, and how these applications, for instance, influence your entire architecture. So forms allow people to easily register applications, technologies, or initiatives, and this brings visibility across the organization. I know it might sound vague to you right now, but as we move to the tool, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The second concept I mentioned are workspaces. And workspaces, what they do is they provide user-centric architecture services designed around specific use cases. So instead of asking user to navigate a complex repository, workspaces present the information in a way that is relevant to their role and their task. For instance, a workspace might focus on application investment planning or capability investment planning. And each workspace brings together the relevant data, visualizations, and analysis tools needed for that particular business scenario. And most importantly, these workspaces are designed for all stakeholders, so not just architects. They are guided, they are easy, and everybody can really contribute as they are intuitive and, we hope, very easy to use. In short, workspaces make enterprise architecture just that, easy. And with that, I would now like to switch to the tool demo so that you can see all of this, what it looks in practice. For that, I will shortly switch the screen. Give me a second. So I think you can see my screen again. And yeah, this is what AutoIT's home page looks like. So here you can see what I've recently opened, all my models and objects. Well, not all of them, but the most recently opened ones. And if I click on new here, you can see a variety of objects that AutoIT offers. So here you can see things like assessment, constraint, driver, goal, meaning, and there are actually around 50 elements right here. And this is what I was talking about. This is what Archimate is. It offers various elements which altogether are needed and can give you much information. But when you're only just starting your initiative, you might not need all of them. You could expand over time. And this is what AutoIT Lean is for. So if I go to my repository here, I've created in a model that shows an Archimate Lean meta model, what it looks like. So here you can see simply what it is, around 10 elements that you can use to start with. Of course, you can start with even less. This is just our best practices approach. So here you can see on a strategy layer, we have capability. On business layer, we have business object representation, business process, and business actor. In application, we have application component and application interface, and so on and so forth. So this is our suggestion on what to start with. Let's say you want to map your capabilities, what your organization is able to do. You can map your capabilities and then connect your application components, and business processes, in which way you can see how your capability is actually being realized by those processes. And this process in turn is realized by this application component, and so on and so forth. So this is how you can start your initiative, simply by modeling all of your capabilities, all of your application components, and whatever other element you choose from AutoIT Lean architecture. Now, as you've seen, you can create them right here by clicking on new, and then let's say you want to create a capability, then there is a whole list of things that you need to do before you create one in your repository. However, we now wanted to make this easier for people. So not only for enterprise architecture experts who know every little thing about a capability or every little thing about an application. And this is what AutoIT forums are about. This is our special registering tool. So we wanted to make registration of applications much easier than it is for EA experts. And if you give it a second, it will load, and you'll see a questionnaire that one needs to fill in order to register a new application. Right here, it's loading. So for instance, let's say that somebody wants to register an application they've been using, and they might think that it could be of value to other people throughout the organization as well. They could propose an application by clicking on proposal, and here is a questionnaire. It's really easy. It's for non-EA experts, so everybody knows what the application name is, right? So here you would just enter its name. Here you would say what the application is for, right? You can add any description that you like. Which business units are using the application? Let's say we can say check-in staff. Which technologies does your application and end-user application use? And so on and so forth. And when you're done with answering these really simple questions, you can click on submit. What's really good about this questionnaire is that it's also very customizable. So you, as an enterprise architect, or as an expert, you can create your own set of questions that everybody could fill out and adapt this questionnaire to your own organization's needs. And when somebody clicks on submit, okay, sorry, now I need to fill out all the other entries. Just give me a sec. I will submit this application. And then you, as an owner of your repository, you can click on approvals, and then you can choose whether or not this application gets approved into your repository. I will show it to you right now. So in my approvals, you will see the application that we have just proposed, and you as an owner can either reject it or approve it. If you approve it, it lands into your repository. Now back to AutoIT. So if you approve if you approve the application that's been registered, it can land right here in the repository. Or you can also set your auto-IT in a way that you don't need approvals. And then as soon as somebody fills in an application form, it lands in your repository. And this is the way you can fill in your repository, which then grows as your organization grows. And then you can do various analysis, such as, let's say, you want to analyze your boarding process management capability. In Insights, you will see all the processes that it's connected with, or the application. So all the requirements there are for this capability, the system software that supports this capability, the value stream, and so on and so forth. So here you can see this interrelated net of objects between your elements in auto-IT. However, this might still be for EA experts. What is not for EA experts are the workspaces that I've mentioned. So if you switch the scenario, you'll see that we offer various templates. And as I said, each of them is dedicated for one particular business need. So let's say you want to do application investment planning. What you need to do is simply create and click new workspace, use a template, give it a name, add any colleagues you'd like to collaborate with, and create a workspace. Now, this is a workspace for applications. So you might add check-in application. This is the application that already exists in your repository, or you can add new ones right here on the spot. You can add boarding application here. And here you can see business fitness and IT fitness. Now, in order not to lose our valuable time here, I will switch to the already created workspace, application investment planning, where you can see that I've added a couple of my applications in my airport repository. So imagine that we are in a scenario of an enterprise architect at an airport. Now, here I would add a couple of applications to my scope. So all the applications that I would like to evaluate. And my next step is to evaluate their business and IT fitness. How I would do this is simply by answering a survey right here. So I can either assess it on my own or delegate it to a colleague. Here you can see that this survey has already been filled out. This one is pending and this one is completely empty. So if I click on assess, I can see a set of questions that's also customizable by you. And if I answer them, I can see the score right here. My next step would be time definition. So for all my evaluated applications, the ratio between IT and business fitness would be shown on a time model. So these are my evaluated applications. The non-evaluated are still waiting here. And I can see that I should invest in a check-in application. I should tolerate immigration and customs application. I should eliminate one, and I should migrate boarding application. So these are my next steps. Now I know, based on its business and IT ratio, what I need to do about my applications. In the third step, because the second step is evaluated by auto-IT, in the third step, you can confirm this strategy or move it around. Maybe of course, it says that the ratio is so good that I should definitely invest in my application, but I currently maybe not have the resources for it. So I will tolerate it for now. So you can choose this. You can change this decision. And as a next step, you can see the summary. So you can see that I have 18 applications in total in this workspace, and I have 5 applications with accepted investment strategy. And what's best about this is that everybody really can do it because this is very intuitive, it's guided, no enterprise architecture knowledge is required whatsoever, and you can contribute all your knowledge. So if you're in charge of one application and you're not an architecture expert, you still know how to answer these questions like, does the application support one or more core processes or capabilities, and to what extent? You know if it supports one process or more. You can know if it helps you create competitive advantage. Those are all questions that are not necessarily answered by EA experts, but that can be answered by anybody in your organization, really. And of course, as I said, the questionnaire is customizable, so you can adapt it to your needs and to the knowledge of your colleagues across the organization. And now, for now, we have application investment planning, we have application-based roadmap, capability-based roadmap, goal-based roadmap, and we're currently working on more business use cases that will be available to everybody with AutoIT 19. This is the tool demo that I've prepared for you. Of course, we don't have enough time for me to show every single functionality right here. I would like to continue with my presentation right here. So what you've seen in AutoIT is hopefully now it's clearer how these concepts that I mentioned, like AutoIT forms, workspaces, and all the solutions that AutoIT offers, how these concepts translate into practical architecture work. So now you see that democratizing enterprise architecture means enabling more people in the organization to participate in shaping the future landscape. And that's exactly what AutoIT is designed to support. As you've seen, it offers multiple business-driven solutions. You've seen application investment planning, you've seen capability-based road mapping, application-based road mapping, and so on. You saw how it simplifies modeling through AutoIT Lean Meta Model. You've seen how it enables contribution through forms, so a very intuitive registering form, and you've seen how it supports collaboration with your workspaces. So everybody that you invite to your workspace can collaborate on it, can evaluate your applications, can create next steps for roadmaps, and so on and so forth. And now I would like to finish this presentation with what I believe is a takeaway of this presentation, and that is that if transformation is everyone's responsibility, then enterprise architecture must be everyone's platform. So if you want everybody to contribute to EA, then we need to make EA, or in this sense, an EA tool, very easy, very intuitive, and guided, just as AutoIT is. Now, as I've already mentioned, this might still seem overwhelming or may seem a bit vague, but this is just due to the limited time that we have today. However, we did prepare a webinar service that is upcoming, first of which is planned for the 24th of March, where I will explain each of these concepts in one particular webinar. So if this sounds interesting or something that you would like to learn more about, I'd like to invite you all to our upcoming webinar series, where we'll talk about each of these topics in one dedicated webinar. So we'll start with AutoIT Lean Meta Model. I will explain everything about it. Then in the second webinar, we will talk about workspaces, and we will finalize this webinar series with scenario planning. And scenario planning is our dedicated solution for planning different alternatives. So for instance, if one application needs to be changed, you can see what happens to your entire architecture if you migrate it, if you decommission it, or if you invest in it. More on this, as I said, in the upcoming webinar series. Now, the registration is very easy. If you're interested in this, you can simply scan this QR code right here on your screens and register for the webinar series. As I said, the first part is planned for March 24th. So please feel free to register and join our series. If you're not available at that time, you can always find all our events on our website, boc/group.com. And then you can go to events and find all AutoIT events, previous and planned, on one page. If, however, my presentation today made you want to have your own personalized demo already, then you can scan this QR code right here, where you can fill out a registration form, and this will lead you directly to me or one of my colleagues, where you can register, where you can get your own personalized demo. And yeah, with this, I would like to thank you all for the attention and invite you to connect with us on LinkedIn, have a look at our webinars and regional events on our website, trending topics in BPM, EA, and GRC, and of course, see updates, news, and highlights all in our bocgroup.com newsletter. Thank you once again. I hope you like this presentation, and I will leave you with Toyo now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Khadija. It's a wonderful presentation. We really appreciate you and the time you've given to this conference today. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to
now
present.
we'll be rounding up. Yeah, we'll be rounding up now. And we are partners with BOC Group. Yellow Mind is a partner with BOC Group. So you can easily reach out to us uh, through our contacts. If you are interested in keying into the Hado IT, we will be available to link you up with BOC. Thank you so much, BOC Group. So this is the end of the conference for this season, and we are working towards another one very soon, which is going to be basically on PMO. And if you are looking forward to that, you stay tuned on our website for updates so that you can follow up and be part of it. We really appreciate everyone that have joined. For over 3 hours now, we've been deliberating and talking about EA and how to make it work for Africa and become a reality for us. We are One Africa, and we are looking forward to bringing EA life to every organization that is thinking about going digital anytime soon. So we look forward to you communicating with us and interacting with us, making your requests known so that we can follow up with whatever your need might be. Thank you so much. Yellow Mind will always be here for you to support you in any of your EA projects. Thank you.